The council will come to order pursuant to Illinois Executive Order 2020-07, issued by the governor on March 16th, 2020, suspending the provisions of the Open Meetings Act and encouraging remote participation. This meeting is conducted via video conference. We'll now have a roll call vote to establish a quorum. And just to remind Alderman, please unmute your microphones as the clerk calls the roll so that we can get an accurate count. Mr. Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Alderman Laspada.
Here.
Alderman Hopkins.
Present.
Alderman Dowell.
Here.
Alderman King.
Here.
Alderman Hairston.
Here.
Alderman Sawyer.
Here.
Alderman Mitchell.
Here.
Alderman Harris.
Here.
Alderman Beal.
Yep.
Alderman Sidlowski Garza.
Here.
Alderman Thompson. Alderman Thompson.
Sorry, present.
Alderman Cardenas.
Here.
Alderman Quinn.
Here.
Alderman Burke.
Here.
Alderman Lopez.
Here, of course.
Alderman Coleman.
Here.
Alderman Moore.
Present.
Alderman Curtis.
Here.
Alderman O'Shea.
Here.
Alderman Taylor.
Here.
Alderman Brookins.
Here.
Alderman Rodriguez.
Here.
Alderman Tavares.
Here.
Alderman Scott.
Present.
Alderman Cicho Lopez.
Here.
Alderman Maldonado.
Here.
Alderman Burnett.
Here.
Alderman Irvin.
Here.
Alderman Telefiero.
Here.
Alderman Roboyas.
Present.
Alderman Cardona.
Here.
Alderman Wagispack.
Here.
Alderman Rodriguez Sanchez.
Presente.
Alderman Austin.
Here.
Alderman Ramirez Rosa.
Present.
Alderman Villegas.
Here.
Alderman Mitz.
Here.
Alderman Spizzato.
Here.
Alderman Nugent.
Here.
Alderman Vasquez.
Present.
Alderman Napolitano.
Present.
Alderman Riley.
Here.
Alderman Smith.
Here.
Alderman Tunney.
Here.
Alderman Gardner.
Present.
Alderman Kappelman.
Here.
Alderman Martin.
Here.
Alderman Osterman.
Here.
Alderman Haddon.
Here.
Alderman Silverstein.
Here.
Your Honor, we have 50 members present.
I'm sorry, Mr. Clerk, could you repeat the,
Your Honor, we have 50 members present.
okay. We have a quorum. We will now have the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge of allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America.
And to the republic
For which it stands,
one nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
God bless America.
And now I'll call upon Alderman Raboyos to deliver the invocation.
Madam President, as we bow our heads in prayers, let's take a moment of silence for those who have perished during this pandemic. Father God, as we continue to deal with this difficult time in our lives, I ask you to place everything we do in perspective. I ask you to protect our frontline workers, be it doctors, nurses, police officers, firefighters, paramedics, teachers, and workers across a vast area of industries that find themselves an essential part of the machine that keeps the world in motion, required to do their jobs despite great risks. Father God, I ask you to protect all our children who are home today during this crisis. I ask you to protect the homeless and their caretaker who delivers their meals on a daily basis. Father God, I ask you to protect our nursing homes and their patients. Only you, and only you, Father God, can make a determination when this will end. And in doing so, I ask you to protect our mayor, our governor, our county president, and all the members of this city council who care and seek not only the protection of themselves, but for their families and communities. And as we continue to deal with this new reality on a daily basis, let us pray for our employees who share this city's responsibility each day, 7 days a week. Father God, the challenges affecting our nations truly affect us all. We declare divine healing over other nations as we pay for our own. We decree that the coronavirus plague will cease worldwide. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
This time we'll have public comment. Mr. Clerk?
The council will now begin the public comment period, which is limited to a maximum of 30 minutes. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes. Any written comments that have been submitted will be posted and made available for aldermanic review. The first speaker today is Father Larry Dowling.
Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor and Alderman. Again, my name is Father Larry Dowling. I'm pastor of St. Agatha Catholic Church in North Lindale, a member church of the Community Renewal Society. We are a church of 300 African-American families that serve an additional 600 families in the North Lindale Communion annually. As the City Council, as representatives of the residents in their wards, have now confirmed our Superintendent of Chicago Police, we, meaning the Alderman, Mayor, and we the citizens, must continue the critical work on police reform by passing the GAPA ordinance this month or very early next month. We know that Mayor Lightfoot has affirmed this both prior to her election and after her election. We know that the majority of the aldermen have gotten behind this. It is now time for us all to come together to keep residents and our homeless population safe by increasing police accountability and improving police community relations, which is why it is so urgent to pass GAPA in April or at latest in early May. The ordinance forges a new path forward to increase the involvement of residents and police in keeping our communities safe. The passage and timely implementation of the GAP ordinance, along with the selection of a new superintendent who is clearly committed to greater accountability and improved police community relations, coupled with the reforms instituted by the interim superintendent and the implementation of the consent decree, all together will create a historic and much needed transformation. This piece is so critical because we need the support of communities and the involvement of communities to help with this, to make this happen. If the ordinance is not passed very soon, it will severely hamper the ability of members of the community to run for district council positions this November and enabling the selection of an oversight commission in mid-2021. We are at a point where we must seize this historic opportunity to make great and lasting change. We cannot allow the window to close on this essential component of the police oversight system. What we do right now has enormous implications for the future safety and health of every citizen and non-citizen of Chicago. This moment demands that you call for a special session to pass GAPA now. It cannot wait, you cannot wait, and especially those you represent cannot wait. Thank you for your commitment to serve not only your local constituencies, thank you for your leadership in this COVID crisis, both Mayor Lightfoot and the Alderman. But let us all remember that we are all supporting the entire human community in Chicago at this time. We need to continue that support, and we need to pass the GAPA ordinance. Thank you very much, and blessings to you all.
Thank you, Father Dowling. Our next speaker is Miss Megan Green.
Yes, thank you, and good afternoon. My name is Megan Green, and I live in the 47th Ward. I'm here today to urge you all to develop and enact a plan to cancel rent before May 1st and to keep it in place for as long as this crisis necessitates. Governor Pritzker rightly extended the stay-at-home order through May. In turn, any rent cancellation plan needs to include May and June at a minimum. Ideally, it would also retroactively benefit those who were unable to pay rent in April. I was unemployed before the pandemic took hold. I have exhausted my savings and I am well into my credit card debt. I am ineligible for unemployment. I am, along with thousands of others in this city, in very real danger of losing my housing. I am not asking for a deferment plan, which places me and the most vulnerable of us into even more debt. I urge you all to act quickly to cancel rent before May 1st. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Green. Our next speaker is Mr. Daniel Adams.
Good afternoon, Mayor Lightfoot and members of the Chicago City Council. My name is Daniel Adams. As a lifelong Chicagoan, born and raised, I serve the community in this capacity as a housing provider. I've managed 13 residential units in the Logan Square and Avondale neighborhoods. I'm a proud member of the Lakeview Developers Association, and I'm a standing member of the Neighborhood Building Owners Alliance, or NBOA. I take in some sense of pride that I provide clean, comfortable housing that is affordable to area residents. So why am I here? I approached this August body in opposition to the rent abatement ordinance that was introduced by Alderman Matt Martin, as I firmly believe it is misguided. As with everyone else, we are all in the same boat, gnarled in the teeth of this COVID-19 pandemic, and we have to work together. Between March 15th and April 10th, some of my residents approached me that they were having financial difficulties, and we worked out arrangements. As the effects of the pandemic became more apparent, I decided there would be no late fees during this period. There wouldn't be any rent increases for the remainder of this year. In short, I communicate with residents. In the meantime, my other residents were able to come through with their rent commitments. We were all hunkered down to ride down this storm. But with Alderman Martin's ordinance, we arrived at our first pothole. The main body language of the ordinance states that all Chicago renters can unilaterally decide not to pay rent while the stay-at-home order is in effect. So where are the standards in place where the renter must prove that they're in financial distress in order to qualify for such an emergency measure? There are none. We now hit pothole number 2. The ordinance language allows renters to have 12 months following the date in which the stay-at-home order is rescinded to pay past due rent without penalty. Whereas there an enforcement provision which compels all renters to pay back the rent they owe. Again, there are none. This ordinance, as presently stated, provides no safeguards or monetary penalties that would protect housing providers from being severely financially impaired by many renters who simply choose to move out with no incentive whatsoever to pay any rent arrearage. We finally hit pothole number 3, the most important one. The ordinance destroys the working relationship I previously had with my residents. It disincentivizes the renter's need to communicate with me and instead places it under the purview of a hearing officer or with the court system. After hitting so many potholes, I'm not even certain that AAA Chicago Motor Club can bring my management back into operating shape. A properly run rental housing market stands on 3 legs: housing providers, residents, and government. Pull out one of those legs and the entire market collapses. We all need to communicate together to weather out this storm. And finally, so in order to reach an agreement, I thank you all for your time and attention.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. Our next speaker is Ms. Bonita Harrison.
Hello, Mayor Lightfoot, City Council members. My name is Bonita Harrison, born and raised on the south side of Chicago. I'm a member of the NBOA, representing 600 property owners, 3,500 buildings, and 78,000 units. I'm a mother and housing provider with 62 units in the Grand Crossing and Inglewood community. I serve as one of the most vulnerable class of renters, the working poor. This tenant body makes too much to qualify for subsidies, living paycheck to paycheck, and cannot create any savings. The housing we provide is affordable, unsubsidized, and geared to assist this delicate class of citizens. I employ 11 people to maintain and repair the properties and provide the tenants with a basic right of quality, affordable housing. I represent the majority of providers on the South Side that offer housing to Chicagoans who desperately need it. The ordinance suggested by Alderman Martin jeopardizes our ability to continue providing this basic human right. HUD estimates that only 28% of rental units have federally backed loans. 72% of housing providers do not qualify for any forbearance included in the CARES Act recently passed by Congress, and no relief will be given to us as we try to assist our residents. The ordinance would be another obstacle for this fragile tenant pool that is already facing COVID. I am concerned about our employees, which we would be forced to lay off, further contributing to the unemployment rate. It will create disinvestment in over half of the properties on the south side of Chicago, eroding our ability to maintain our buildings, keep them safe and free from life safety issues, and eventually adding these fragile tenants to the homeless population. This ordinance will yield detrimental actions from irrational tenants and retaliatory actions from unscrupulous landlords. We cannot forbear water, sewer, scavenger, gas, property taxes, or insurance bills. Housing providers have partnered with our tenants to overcome this pandemic by waiving late fees, electronic payment fees, creating payment plans per tenant, per circumstance, assisting tenants who have lost wages with new opportunities for employment, buying food and necessities, doing our part to ease the burden. Housing providers and tenants are in this fight together. We stand as one. This ordinance will cripple our ability to properly serve our tenants and further strain tenant-landlord relationships. We propose to the City of Chicago, DFSS, and CHA a comprehensive proposal to do two things in tandem: create a $300 million rental assistance fund paid to property owners on behalf of the tenants to subsidize the rental overhead, and provide emergency temporary housing vouchers for tenants who have lost wages due to COVID-19. The benefits: number one, there is no need for the ordinance. Number two, housing providers will be able to maintain all expenses without the need to abate any taxes, utility payments, or forbear mortgages or rents. Most importantly, number three, it will stabilize the economy in our neighborhoods. If you support this proposal or want to read more, please sign a petition at change.org/protecthomes. And thank you for the opportunity to speak today.
Thank you, Ms. Harrison. Our next speaker is Mr. Nicholas Katsafatos.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Nicholas Katsafatos. I'm a native Chicagoan. Grew up on the north side, went to Lane Tech. Today I'd like to discuss Alderman Martin's proposal for rent abatement as well. I'm a local housing provider full-time, and I also serve on my local Chamber of Commerce in Logan Square, and I'm also a member of the Neighborhood Building Owners Alliance. I wanted to try to educate you guys on the impact of Alderman Martin's proposal for a rent stoppage. I want to say that my heart goes out to everyone in these times. I get it. It's a very difficult thing for everybody right now. And the challenges we're facing, are in these circumstances are unprecedented. I mean, I believe the idea earlier presented by Bonita Harrison really strikes at the heart of the issue. How do you help the renters get the funds they need to pay their housing obligations? Housing providers need that revenue in order to pay the water bill, the insurance, property taxes, maintenance of the homes. Many of these costs I cannot abate myself. These are obligations that have far-reaching effects, not just into the city coffers, but into the neighborhoods. Every neighborhood, abandoned, foreclosed, or bank-owned properties become the kind of economic blight and disinvestment we cannot afford as Chicagoans right now. I mean, especially with the potential economic downturn ahead of us all. In fact, quite the opposite. We need to find ways to make it easier to invest in Chicago. We need real solutions. The proposal offered by Alderman Martin does not help Chicagoans. It instead disinvests into our housing supply, which is already not enough to meet our city's demands. Instead of trying to find a solution to the symptom, we really need to address the underlying problem of not enough programs to support those that need housing, to afford the housing, and we need to liberalize zoning in the long run to build more housing for our neighborhoods. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Katsafatos. The next speaker is Mr. H. Demetrius Bonner.
Hi, my name is H. Demetrius Bonner. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Okay, hi, my name is H. Demetrius Bonner. I'm with the Housing Resource Network, a former president of the National Alliance of HUD Tenants. And I'm in support of this ordinance. The city should provide better protection for all its citizens, including its seniors and disabled and low-income citizens. The idea of evicting people out of their homes at this serious time is absurd. The owners and landlords are lobbying to evict people when they will receive stimulus packages as well. They'll receive a stimulus package as a citizen and receive a stimulus package as a business owner. Also, they will receive at least $5,000 a month for incidentals if you have a government contract. On top of that,
the landlords and owners of this city has been treating its citizens horribly. For those who have been doing great jobs and have relationships with their tenant councils and their tenants, that's great. But for the most part, this city must start to apply civil monetary penalties to those landlords who violate renters' rights and who violate the RLTO and federal housing regulations. Mayor Lightfoot, I recommend you create a legitimate committee that includes the efforts of the people who are affected by these kinds of policies and ordinance. We must be included in the decision makers on where we live. Because you've heard these type of landlords requesting that they should be allowed to evict people because they can't pay. Mayor Lightfoot, I urge you to stop using Chicago as a sanctuary city when it's not sanctuary for its own citizens here in this community, in our communities. I'm not against the protection of all people, but I am more concerned with the protection of my own people. Stop using military tactics on our people and force the police to work in the communities where they live. People don't kill people they know. So I thank you for your time, Mayor Lightfoot. And I'd like to say one more, I still have a little more time, so I want to address this issue with these property owners not respecting the ordinance, the RLTO ordinance, and the tenants' right to privacy, like they're just going into people's house. Even though these issues are brought to the attention of the city council, it's always ignored, it's always under the table. I think the city should, if you're going to look at something to help the city, look at how people are living in the city. Just having a decent place to live is not enough. We need to have a place to live where we have adequate air. Air that can support, not these places that haven't been cleaned out in years, places with bed bugs, ain't been inspected recently. So
Thank you, Mr. Bonner, for your comments, but your time has expired. Our next speaker is Mr. Sean Duffy.
Good afternoon, Madam President and members of the City Council. My name is Sean Duffy, and I'm a resident of the First Ward and a member of the Chicago Democratic Socialists of America. More than 25 million Americans have filed for unemployment over the last month, and a third of Americans weren't able to pay their rent at all. This crisis is devastating our city's working class, and we have a right to recovery. In the immediate, the city must enact an indefinite moratorium on evictions, halt all court hearings and filings for evictions and foreclosures, and waive the collection of all rent, mortgage, and utility payments through the duration of the COVID crisis. The city must also acquire emergency housing units for homeless individuals so they can be safely sheltered during this crisis. Additionally, the Chicago Police Department must cease its escalated harassment of city residents, particularly on the south and west sides, and instead suspend arrest and work with the county and state towards immediate mass decarceration. The alternative is continued spread of the virus within jails, prisons, and detention centers, which will result in mass death unless we do something. Finally, Madam President, I must speak to the Emergency Powers Ordinance that was deferred and published on Wednesday and is now being considered this afternoon. You accused the aldermen who supported the DNP motion of grandstanding and told the press they were, quote, choosing to serve themselves instead of the residents who elected them, unquote. I will remind you that these aldermen were elected by the voters of their wards to represent them because of the issues they raise and because of the policies they fight for, because of their politics. But instead of debating issues or policy, you make petty personal attacks without any substance. Your total dismissal and continued disrespect towards these aldermen extends to their constituents and to the movements that they so tirelessly raise up. I must ask you this. Why should anyone trust you or your administration with the special powers laid out in this ordinance? In the midst of this crisis, your administration permitted Hilco to blow up a coal plant smokestack at a little village that left entire city blocks covered in toxic dust. Recent reporting by ProPublica shows that you seem to have little interest in addressing even basic questions or concerns aldermen are raising about the city's response to the crisis. Another report by the Daily Line showed that while you claimed that you were not briefed on the rent abatement ordinance being introduced today by Alderman Martin, that there is an email record showing that a drafted proposal was sent by the alderman to your policy team weeks ago. Is your administration disorganized and mismanaged, Madam President, or were you just lying? As others have noted, the City Council can now convene rather easily over Zoom. In fact, the council should meet twice a month as is directed by the municipal code. This emergency power ordinance will give the mayor unchecked control and erode the role of the council as a democratic body, I urge council members to vote no, and I urge the city to take bold action now to protect the working class of the city from total devastation as a result of this crisis. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Duffy. Our next speaker is Dr. Denise French. Ms. French,
Thank you
are
for the
there?
opportunity to speak today. I realize you have many serious problems to deal with, but I'd like to speak out on behalf of the carriage horses and their owners. I'm Dr. Dennis French, a diplomate of the American Board of Veterinary Practitioners, certified in equine practice with over 42 years of professional experience with these horses. I'm also a professor at the University of Illinois College of Veterinary Medicine, a member of the Illinois State Veterinary Medical Association, a Champaign County Farm Bureau member, and vice president of the Horsemen's Council of Illinois. As a representative of these groups, we strongly oppose the proposed ordinance to ban the use of carriage horse services and restrict the licensing of the carriage companies within the city of Chicago. As an educator and veterinarian, the welfare of horses is a critical component of everything that I do and believe in. I assure you that the care and well-being of Chicago's carriage horses is foremost in the minds of their owners, the equine veterinarians that care for them at regular intervals, and the farriers that provide all-important foot care. I would also share that representatives of the Horsemen's Council have repeatedly inspected these horses, the harnesses that are used on them, and the stables where they are kept, and we have found no causes for concern. These horses are well cared for, healthy, and they like to work. From a scientific point of view, studies of carriage horses have documented that measurement of their stress hormones when working are actually lower than horses that are grazing on pasture. And they in fact remain lower when they return to their overnight stable. Claims of mistreatment due to work or insufficient care are simply unjustified. In another study that was just published in May of 2020, in reaction to claims of mistreatment, those authors found that the duration and intensity of the workload did not change the welfare of these horses. Carriage horses are ambassadors for the city of Chicago. It's important and appropriate that the city leaders be concerned about the health and welfare of the horses on your streets. As a veterinarian and horse owner who has dedicated my life to the health and welfare of all animals, including horses, I ask you that you vote against this ordinance. Please allow us to work with you on appropriate regulations and location of the carriage horse operations, utilizing scientific data and facts to allay any concerns for ethical and humane treatment of these carriage horses. Thank you for your time this afternoon.
Thank you, Dr. French. The next speaker is Mr. Brian Bennett.
Hello, I am Brian Bennett. I'm speaking today for the hundreds of thousands of unemployed renters of Chicago, and I'm speaking directly to Mayor Lightfoot and my alderman, Harry Osterman, who is chair of the Housing and Real Estate Committee, on the immediate need for rent and mortgage cancellation in Chicago. We are desperate. April 1st came and went with almost no action, just words. Now May 1st is here, almost no action, just words. You are leaving the hardworking people who rent in this city behind. Tell the governor publicly to lift the ban on rent control so you can cancel rent and mortgage payments for the rest of this crisis plus 3 months. That would take care of renters, homeowners, and small landlords. Enough memes, enough funny videos, and most importantly, enough funding your campaigns with donations from so-called housing providers. Mayor Lightfoot, I see you talking to experts and Ivy League economic advisors. Have you talked to any tenant unions? Have you talked to Lift the Ban, the Rent Control Coalition? After $1.3 billion in tax breaks for Lincoln Yards, $20 million for Hillco, and not a single major ordinance for renters in your first year in office, I am scared for me and my girlfriend and my neighbors, but I'm willing to do whatever it takes to keep us housed. What are you willing to do? I will conclude by saying to Alderman Osterman and the rest of City Council, the worst part is I think I know why we're not moving urgently to help renters. How can we trust that you're fighting for us when we look at your publicly listed campaign donors and almost half of them are landlords and developers? In just the last year, your donors include Devon Realty, Silver Property Group, Edgewater Properties, Aleppo Properties, McMaster Properties, Hunter Properties. I don't have time to list them all. But the point is, I'm worried that they are getting their money's worth right now. Please clean up your donor sheets, City Council. Promise that you will cancel rent and mortgage payments if the ban is lifted, and publicly tell the governor to lift the ban on rent control today. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Bennett. The next speaker is Mr. Ezekiel Morris.
Good afternoon, Mayor Lightfoot and Alderman of the City of Chicago. My name is Zeke Morris. I am the managing broker of Exit Strategy Realty, EMA Management. My office is located at 7300 South Cottage Grove in the 6th Ward. I'm a past president of the Chicago Association of Realtors, and currently I serve as the treasurer for Illinois Realtors, and I would like to address Alderman Matt Martin's ordinance set for introduction at this meeting. I'm against the ordinance, and I ask you, the City Council, to stand against it as well. I have served the community as a real estate broker and property manager for over 30 years. And although we've not always agreed, we have worked together with the city to achieve what was best for its citizens. The ordinance does not promote the spirit of cooperation, and it is harmful to the industry for all. Some of the unintended consequences include the following issues. One, the ordinance does not provide protections for the landlord. Two, tenants who move out with balances will have to be pursued via small claims court, which provides an additional burden on our landlords. A third thing is the ordinance fails to provide a way to confirm that even although COVID, we know that we're in the midst of this pandemic, but there is there's no way for us to actually verify the actual emergency. The ordinance commits the landlords, but offers no property tax or mortgage relief. It de-incentivizes the tenants from seeking private party arrangement. And one of the things that in order to speak to this, I also want to say that there is, we are in support of limiting the entry of dwelling during the stay-at-home order. We can support that based upon health concerns. As stated by other housing providers, the most important issue today is that we continue to promote working together with our residents. One of the things that I want to point out to you is that the way this is put together, the ordinance gives the impression that most of your owners are institutions, when in fact, they are people just like you and me who care about the health and safety of the city we serve. And I urge you to reconsider. Thank you for this opportunity, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Morris. The next speaker is Mr. Michael Robin.
Hi, my name is Michael Robin. I'm a member of the Autonomous Tenants Union in Chicago. We work to inform people of their rights and help people facing eviction and other issues with their landlords. We've mostly been based out of the Albany Park area. But since this crisis began, we've been stretching extremely thin, dealing with an avalanche of calls from all over the city. People are being pressured and harassed into leaving their homes, both legally and illegally, and sometimes with no idea about where they could possibly go. Landlords that are saying there's no need for this are either lying or completely out of touch with the struggles that their tenants are dealing with. We're getting people constantly being told to leave just because the landlord decided to sell their place, or because of some made-up idea about how they violated the lease, or because they were a couple days late on rent. It's happening all over the place. The landlord's asking you to trust landlords to do the best thing, are either lying or just out of touch, because we cannot trust them. We've heard hundreds and hundreds of stories. In fact, we have a petition asking for our executive leaders to cancel rent and mortgages and offer tenant protections. 17,000 people have signed that to date. We've taken some comments from those. There are thousands of comments of people that aren't political, just begging for relief. And I don't feel that the mayor or our other executive leaders have listened. You can read those comments at bit.ly/tenant stories. They're all on a Twitter page. And what I would say is that if landlords are complaining about these pro-tenant ordinances because they don't qualify for mortgage relief, or they're struggling themselves, why not, instead of trying to crash the mildest proposals possible, they could join us in demanding both rent and mortgage relief. And I'll tell you, it's because they're worried about profit, not surviving like the rest of us. So there is one protection in place that actually offers much more than what the city and the state is actually offering, and that's the CARES Act, which is a federal moratorium on evictions and late fees. Currently, a fraction of our residents are covered by this, but they don't even know about it. So if you want to find out if you're covered by this act so your landlord can't file an eviction or charge late fees, go to bit.ly/CARES-tests. The city needs to do more to promote this information and make it available and enforce these laws. The mayor recently was reported as saying she didn't think that providing updates on proposed plans to help people out of work was a, quote, good use of her time. She gave a lottery of 2,000 people getting $1,000 each. 83,000 tenants applied. She has a task force where I see no mention of housing or rent relief. Her actions and her comments on the deepening crisis suggest that she's out of touch, and centralizing power to her right now is...
Thank you, Mr. Robin. Your time has expired. The next speaker is Mr. Andrew Lovell.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you for giving me time to speak today before you. My name is Andrew Lovell, and my family owns a small restaurant, Bones Round Cafe in Lakeview, Ward 44. On March 21st of this year, we are looking forward to celebrating our second anniversary of being open. We came from humble beginnings and are proud of what we've accomplished. As you know, March 21st turned out to be one of the last days which restaurants in the city were allowed to be open to the public. Our plans for celebrations, which included our staff and our customers, were put on hold on what would have otherwise been a special day for us. However, we are not alone. This is a dark time for restaurants in the city. Our industry was among the first to be majorly impacted and forced to close. Additionally, we will likely be among the last to resume operations to the public. We are not alone. Businesses, big and small, are suffering. Concert venues, brick and mortar retailers, small family-owned restaurants like mine. All types of businesses here in Chicago are under an enormous burden to continue paying rent when we have no income whatsoever coming in. We are not alone. For small family-owned businesses like my own, this hits us twice, since we are not only paying for our commercial lease, but also for our residential leases. We are not alone. Our staff and our workers around the city are suffering. Restaurant workers across the city have been hit incredibly hard. In a sense, we will likely be the first and the last out. When we reopen to the public, it will take a long time before we get to the point where we were before all of this. And if we do reach that point, we will consider ourselves lucky. You've paused evictions being heard in court until April 15th and asked that landlords be compassionate during this time and give tenants some grace. Now that April 15th is behind us, unfortunately, many landlords are not so compassionate and many are not giving any sort of grace. Many businesses like mine have seen our revenue drop to near 0% from what it was. We have no money coming in and we are expected to continue paying for our space, which you have barred us from using. We've been forced to close in the interest of the greater public health. We've done the right thing. We've been responsible and closed for the greater good. It is time for the city to do the responsible thing, not only for restaurant workers, but for all residents and workers in the city. Please put pressure on state government to lift the Rent Control Preemption Act of 1997 and enact a mortgage and rent cancellation until this is all over and people actually have the means to pay their rent. Please put your voices behind the blueprint for recovery, which the National Restaurant Association has pushed for. This uncertainty of what the future even looks like for us is overwhelming, and I appreciate any and all effort you're putting forth to help us during this time. Please stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lovell. The time for public comments has expired.
This concludes public comment. The chair recognizes Chairman Dow.
Thank you, Madam President. At this time, I move to consider one item of unfinished business that I noticed of pursuant to Rule 41, an ordinance authorizing various emergency actions undertaken in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. which was deferred and published and appears in the Journal of Proceedings of April 22nd, 2020 as a direct introduction. If no one wishes to speak on this item, Madam President, I move passage by a roll call vote.
Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Madam Chairman, Madam President,
Can you,
Alderman,
folks,
forgive me.
just one
Alderman
second.
Lopez.
Thank you. I would just ask if you're wishing to speak, since we all can't see the screen at the same time, please identify yourself and then I will call on you. Alderman Lopez.
Madam President, a point of order. Alderman Irvin, I'm sorry.
Alderman Lopez, I believe, has the floor. Alderman Lopez.
Thank you, Madam President. It was going to be for a point of order that the regular order of business is for the Finance Committee to proceed, not the Budget Committee. And allowing this would be in violation of our orders without moving for suspension of the rules to go outside of the regular order of business.
Nicely done, Lopez.
Actually, Alderman Lopez, pursuant to Rule 3, all questions relating to the propriety of business should be decided by the chair without debate and subject to appeal.
And I appeal the decision of the chair to the body.
Hold on one second. Further, I haven't even ruled yet, Alderman Lopez, so just.
I'm just letting you know.
The presiding chair, the presiding officer shall decide all questions of order subject to appeal. So I'm ruling that Alderman Dow's motion is in order and denying your motion.
Then I appeal the decision of the chair to the body, Madam President.
The question before the body is, shall the ruling of the chair, which finds that Alderman Dow's motion is in order, shall that ruling be overturned? Shall the ruling be sustained? A yes vote is that the ruling of the chair to allow for Alderman Dow's motion to go forward and hear the item now is appropriate. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Laspada.
Yes.
Alderman Hopkins.
Yes.
Alderman Dowell.
Yes.
Alderman King. Alderman King.
Yes.
Alderman Hairston.
No.
Alderman Sawyer.
No.
Alderman Mitchell.
Yes.
Alderman Harris. Alderman Harris.
Yes.
Alderman Beal.
No.
Alderman Sadlowski Garza.
Yes.
Alderman Thompson.
Yes.
Alderman Cardenas.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Alderman Cardenas.
Yes.
Alderman Quinn.
Yes.
Alderman Burke.
No.
Alderman Lopez.
No.
Alderman Coleman.
No.
Alderman Moore.
Yes.
Alderman Curtis. Alderman Curtis.
Folks, please remember to unmute your phones. We're doing a vote.
Alderman Curtis. Alderman O'Shea.
Yes.
Alderman Taylor.
No.
Alderman Brookins.
Aye.
Alderman Rodriguez.
Yes.
Alderman Tabares.
Yes.
Alderman Scott.
Yes.
Alderman Cicho Lopez.
No.
Alderman Maldonado.
No.
What the hell?
Alderman Burnett.
Yes.
Alderman Irvin. Alderman Irvin. Alderman Telefiero.
Yes.
Alderman Raboyes.
Yes.
Alderman Cardona.
Yes.
Alderman Wagispack.
Yes.
Alderman Rodriguez Sanchez.
No.
Alderman Austin.
Yes.
Alderman Ramirez Rosa.
No.
Alderman Villegas.
Yes.
Alderman Mitz.
Yes.
Alderman Spizzato.
Yes.
Alderman Nugent.
Yes.
Alderman Vasquez,
No.
Alderman Napolitano,
No.
Alderman Riley,
Yes.
Alderman Smith,
Yes.
Alderman Tunney,
Yes.
Alderman Gardner,
Yes.
Alderman Kappelman,
Yes.
Alderman Martin,
Yes.
Alderman Osterman,
Yes.
Alderman Haddon,
Yes.
Alderman Silverstein,
Yes.
Alderman Curtis,
Alderman Curtis, yes.
Alderman Irvin,
Alderman Irvin, no.
I have, Your Honor, there are 36 yeas, 14 nays.
All right. The ruling of the chair is sustained. Chairman Dow.
Yes, if there's no other comments, then I would call for a roll.
Madam President,
Can you please
Alderman
identify?
Ramirez Rosa.
Alderman Rose.
Ramirez Rosa. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to speak on this item, and I'm sure other colleagues would like to speak on this item as well.
The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Madam Mayor. This past Wednesday, I took action with 4 of my colleagues to ensure that millions in federal emergency dollars reach Chicago's hardest hit communities on the west and south sides. I joined with Alderman Lopez, Taylor, Sigcho, and Rosana Rodriguez to defer this ordinance to ensure it could be improved to include true oversight and an equity lens. I would have felt comfortable voting for this ordinance today if it had included those reasonable oversight and equity provisions. Unfortunately, despite our efforts, ordinance before us today lacks guarantees that emergency dollars will be appropriated through an equity lens. Absent those guarantees, I must vote no on this ordinance and urge my colleagues to do so as well. Why? Because while Black Chicagoans are 30% of our city's population, they make up 60% of our city's COVID-19 deaths. Why? Because Latino majority zip codes in Chicago are currently seeing the fastest rate of COVID-19 community spread. That is why we are fighting to ensure that this ordinance, governing the appropriation of hundreds of millions in federal emergency dollars, puts the most impacted and vulnerable Chicagoans first. In response to our attempts to amend this ordinance to include an equity lens, we have been told to trust this mayor. I must remind my colleagues that in this nation, policymakers put their trust in laws, not people. At the federal level, we have seen the disastrous effects of policies that put their trust in one sole executive. Well-intentioned policies that empowered the presidency of Barack Obama are now being abused under President Trump. And here in Chicago, we have seen the disastrous effects of when we trust the mayor to be Chicago's sole decision maker and authority. Mayor Lightfoot has unilateral control of our schools, and teachers had to go on strike for 11 days to win basic necessities for our children, like nurses. Mayor Lightfoot has unilateral control over the issuance of demolition permits, and we have seen what happened with Hilco, where a failure in this administration's demolition oversight left Little Village residents covered in debris and dust. As Chicago's teachers, parents, and students learned just months ago, when it comes to this mayor, you have to put it in writing. And so we have sought to put into writing guarantees that an equity lens will be applied to federal emergency dollars. That reasonable request was maligned, ignored, and dismissed. I will not malign, ignore, or dismiss the Chicagoans fighting for equity in the appropriation of federal emergency dollars. The Action Center on Race and the Economy states, quote, "It is important for city council members to play an active role in deciding the specific types of federal eligible programs they want to authorize and the types they want to restrict to ensure their constituents' interests are represented." The Action Center on Race and the Economy further states that we can use these funds to ensure that it reaches the hardest hit communities that are impacted by COVID-19. The other night, Carol Marine of WC said this power grab is reminiscent of Emanuel and Daley, and that caucus pushback and council pushback was rational. Mike Dumke said that we are elected officials and that what we are saying is this is supposed to be a democracy. This is supposed to be good government. That's something that this mayor campaigned on. Absent these equitable provisions, absent these true oversight provisions, I cannot support this ordinance. And I just want to point out one last thing. There has been a mistruth that has been said about this ordinance. It's been said that it's needed in order to buy PPE expeditiously. Multiple municipal procurement experts, as well as the legal counsel of the city council at the budget committee, made it very clear that that is simply false. The mayor has the power that she has right now to procure PPE. She's been doing it. So to say that this ordinance and not voting for it is somehow blocking PPE to the hardest hit communities and to our health professionals is a lie. It was a lie created at the last minute to try and push this forward. So I'm proud to stand with the Illinois Nurses Association in this fight for equity in our civics COVID-19 response. The Illinois Nurses Association is our state's largest, most powerful nurses union, and their members are on the front lines of the fight against COVID-19. They are asking us to vote no on this ordinance unless it includes an equity lens, unless it includes true oversight to make sure that this money gets to our hardest hit communities. I urge my colleagues to vote no. I urge my colleagues to say yes to equity, true oversight, for us to do our jobs and not abdicate our responsibility to meet as a council to have oversight over this city's purse. Thank you.
The chair recognizes Alderman Sixto Lopez.
Thank you, Mayor. And I want to echo the words of Alderman Carlos Ramirez Rosa, because it's important that I think the public and my colleagues understand the importance of this vote. I heard from my colleagues about the importance of co-governance, and this is not co-governance. For way too long, we have had a city that was dominated by the elites, by corporations and developers. Those are the same actors that want to continue to run the city without accountability, leaving behind people of color, Black and brown communities that today are suffering. We have across the wards, and I want to speak directly to my colleagues, you all know the necessities of Black communities who have been disproportionately affected by this virus, this pandemic. 70% of the fatalities in our communities. Undocumented residents that are yet to receive necessary support. The hungry families that are suffering for hunger, cannot pay the rents, they cannot pay their mortgages, and they need answers. We have heard that from the public today, the needs in the small businesses. The vast majority of Chicagoans who are struggling today. This is the time that we come together. This is the time that we govern with integrity, with responsibility, with unity. The people of Chicago did not vote for unilateral decisions, no matter who they were. If it was the local alderman or the mayor, they voted for accountability and transparency. And I want to go back to what happened in Little Village, because it's important that the public understand what's at stake here. On March 31st, Alderman Hopkins and I sent a letter directly to the mayor's office, warning about the issue with pollutants in our community. That's 2 weeks in advance of what happened in Little Village with a permit. And we were questioning permits that were given. When we were questioning that, and we had not only aldermen, we had the state representatives, we have experts, that letter was never responded. There was a response after the fact. What happened in Little Village in Yilko is an atrocity. Furthermore, I'm very concerned not only about the lack of response, but just after the whole scandal is starting to wipe down, we start hearing that apparently now there are big supporters of the Hilco company in Little Village. That there are apparently very big supporters over there. We'll have a community that had to breathe dust. We have to breathe dust in our communities in the middle of a pandemic. What we need is accountability. We need co-governance in order for us to make good decisions and bring the resources that our communities need. We cannot go back to the times where there were one mayor overseeing everything and a rubber stamp council. My colleagues, I speak to you who have constituents that are suffering today about the importance of voting your conscience on this. Vote for your constituents. Make sure that we have the necessary resources for testing, to test our constituents. Make sure that we have the necessary resources for housing, for homelessness. We have people who are hungry again, and I repeat, and they need those resources. We can no longer go back again to those times where bankers were running our schools, where bankers were giving themselves big salaries and lending money and borrowing money with toxic interest rates. We can no longer go back to those times when unilateral decisions impose a horrific parking meter system that privatize our parking system and disproportionately affect people of color. We today must come together for governance, co-governance. We want to work together. We have put amendments. The last thing I'd like to say is that on April 19th, we also sent a letter with amendments that we wanted to consider. I welcome my colleagues who have been pushing for more amendments that only happen after the council mobilized, that we're able to get some amendments for a sunset date to make sure that we impose and we don't let companies to contract without economic disclosure statements. We can now go back to those times. This is our opportunity to come together. By the way, we still not have gotten a response on those amendments. And that's the reason why I urge you to vote no, to vote to make sure that we have co-governance, that we have a council that governs. I want to urge you, all my colleagues, to think about your constituents. This is our time to come together. This is our time to be the leaders that they expect us to be in crisis. This is not the time to leave blank checks to anyone. And this is a matter of issues. This is not personal. We can no longer continue with these personal attacks when something doesn't go our way. This is the time to be the leaders and lead by example. This is a time for compassion, for collaboration, and co-governance. And I urge you to think your vote, think for your constituents. Thank you.
And the chair recognizes Alderman Irvin.
Thank you, Madam President, the members of the council. Just a couple of points here that I think we need to truly look at and understand. In no way, shape, or form do I believe, or do I believe members of this council believe, that we are to block the specific execution of the executive office, meaning that we should not block the ability of our executive to respond to the impending emergency that exists that we have currently. As relates to buying protective gear, telling our departments what to do, all of those things, we as city council are not directly in the mix of that. That is the executive's responsibility and her purview to oversee. So as it relates to the conversation around appropriations and how and when and where we will spend money, I fully believe that is something that we as a city council should set parameters on and definitely weigh in. So there are two pieces of conversation here today as it relates to this appropriation from that aspect of it. Again, we started at one point about the ability to spend money to give the procurement officer the ability to spend above the $500,000 limit. If those things are necessary, again, I have no objection to that. What I do have objection to is our ability to weigh in and vote about the policy of how the balance of our funds are going to be spent. There are two pots of money here, that's all I remember. There's the Stafford Act money, which is the money for the direct expenses of the emergency, which we're under, which our budget director estimates to be between $150 to $200 million, with a 75% share of those dollars being borne by the federal government and the possibility of 100% being borne by the federal government. The question that I think we have to ask ourselves today is, with the balance of the CARES Act money, which could be anywhere between 470, which is what we have today, or 420 some odd $million if we have to use that money to pay our 25% share of the estimated $200 million. What is it that we do with that money? As a council, I believe that we should have the ability to appropriate those dollars. and that not be strictly an executive decision. The decision to put money toward technology for our public school children, or to create hotspots, or the ability for us to dedicate funds to rental or mortgage relief, all of these items are something that should be subject to debate and subject to a vote by this body. These are items that should not just unilaterally be determined by the executive branch, whereby, well, you may have a seat in a working group. But again, I think our residents sent us down here to make decisions and to vote. I do not want to go to the table in a room such as that as a beggar. My constituents didn't send me down here to be a beggar. They sent us down here to make policy, to make rational choices, and to work with everyone so we can have what is best for the city in its entirety. So I would just ask us that if we feel that it's okay to essentially give up our roles in setting forth a policy and directing where funds are going to be spent outside of the emergency. I mean, the after effects, the mortgage relief, the business relief, the technology needs. All of these are eligible expenses under the grant as stated on the website of the Department of Treasury. I believe that we should have not only a voice, but a vote in how those things are going to occur. Again, not saying that our mayor should not be able to act and respond with the emergency. There's almost $200 million worth of money that the federal government has given us for that. It is the additional funds that I believe that we need to have a voice. So again, this question I think may in some respects be muddled, but if we say yes today, we will not have a vote or a voice on how the balance of this action will occur. So with that, I would just ask that we reconsider this matter and that we work as a collective body to have a voice in how we determine the balance of the funding be spent as it relates to the CARES Act and any additional money that may come out of the CARES Act that is not used for direct expenses such as personal protective equipment, hospital expenses, and the like. So if we could, we could think about it in that standpoint, I think we may come up with a different answer. Thank you, Madam President.
The chair recognizes Rodriguez Sanchez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to echo the comments made by my colleagues. I want to speak to the fact that we are talking about this expenditure of funds that need to be used for the emergency, for emergency relief, to address this emergency. The issue is that a lot of the issues related to this emergency are structural issues that we have been dealing with for a very long time. COVID-19 didn't cause homelessness. COVID-19 didn't bring poverty or violence. And all of these things are threatening the lives of our people. The fact that people are not able to have a roof over their head. The fact that domestic violence is on the rise. And all of these things are part of this emergency. So I wanted to read an excerpt from the Congressional Research Services, Section 5001D of the CARES Act, that explains what some of these funds can be used for. And I think this is a really important thing for people to know as we talk about how we need to be using these funds with equity. So according to the Congressional Research Services, the CARES Act allows state and local governments to use funds from the CRF or Coronavirus Relief Fund to pay for programs that, number one, are necessary expenditures incurred due to public health emergency with respect to coronavirus disease 2019. Number two, were not accounted for in the budget most recently approved as of the date of enactment, March 27, 2020, of this section for the state or government. And number three, were incurred during the period that begins March 1, 2020 and ends on December 30, 2020. I think it is important for us in the council to be able to have a say on how we're going to be addressing this emergency, how these programs are going to be affecting the lives of people that are seeing their lives threatened by a lot of things, not only getting sick with coronavirus, but all that this virus is causing in our community, from unemployment to the fact that people can ensure that they're going to have a roof over their head. So I urge my colleagues also to vote no on this ordinance. And I really hope that we can start working more together to ensure an equitable response in this city. Thank you.
The chair recognizes Alderman Riley.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm just going to speak very briefly to the revised ordinance before us and remind my colleagues that I was one of the vocal critics of the original proposal. And I want to thank you, Mayor, for listening to us and pulling back that original proposal and limiting the scope by building in important things like a termination date of June 30th, by requiring the budget director to make weekly reports to the city council. And I want to also clear up what seems to be a point of confusion. The vast majority of the funds that we're discussing here will be brought before the city council to be appropriated. Another important thing I think that should be noted is that the vast majority of the funds we're talking about are COVID-related reimbursable. And then for those folks who really still don't feel comfortable with this, I think I should remind everyone that the general public, the Chicago taxpayers, will be applying a critical eye to the decisions that this administration makes and the city council makes over the next several months. And there will be an accounting for that. But I ultimately have faith in Mayor Lightfoot to be judicious with these special powers that we give to her. We certainly are not being asked to sit in the trunk anymore. I look at this as riding shotgun, but allowing the administration the flexibility they need to be nimble, to negotiate contracts for PPE and for testing supplies. I think that's important. And in that unique circumstance, and frankly, the fact we're all dealing with a global pandemic justifies us allowing these unique powers for a limited amount of time. And so I do support the ordinance. And for that purpose, Madam President, I move to call the previous question.
This is Alderwoman Haddon looking to speak.
I called the previous question.
Alderman Riley has called the question. If you support ending debate and moving forward with a vote on Chairman Dow's motion, vote yay. If not, vote nay.
Point of order, Madam President, by Alderman Lopez.
Alderman Lopez.
There's no second to this motion, which means there's nothing to vote on at present.
There's no second required, Madam President.
There is no second required, Alderman Lopez. I'm sure you're very familiar with the rules. This body doesn't require a second. So we are now moving forward on Alderman Riley's motion to call the question. If you want to support the motion, end debate, and move to Chairman Dow's motion, vote yay. If not, vote nay. Mr. Clerk.
Alderman Laspada.
Nay.
I'm sorry, Alderman Laspada.
Nay.
Alderman Hopkins.
Yes.
Alderman Dowell.
Aye.
Alderman King.
Nay.
Alderman Harrison.
Nay.
Alderman Sawyer.
No.
I'm
No.
sorry, Alderman Sawyer.
No.
Alderman
No.
Mitchell. Alderman Mitchell.
Aye.
Is that aye, Alderman?
Yes.
Alderman Harris.
Aye.
Alderman Beal.
No.
Alderman Sidlowski Garza.
Aye.
Alderman Thompson.
Aye.
Alderman Cardenas.
Aye.
Alderman Quinn.
Aye.
Alderman Burke. Alderman Burke. Alderman Lopez.
No.
Alderman Coleman.
No.
Alderman Moore. No. Alderman Curtis.
Yay.
Alderman O'Shea.
Aye.
Alderman Taylor.
No.
Alderman Brookins.
No.
Alderman Rodriguez.
Aye.
Alderman Tavares.
Aye.
Alderman Scott.
Yay.
Alderman Cicho Lopez.
No.
Alderman Maldonado.
No.
Alderman Burnett.
Yes.
Alderman Irvin.
No.
Alderman Telefiero.
Aye. Yes.
Alderman Raboyes.
Aye.
Alderman Cardona.
Yes.
Alderman Wagispack.
Yes.
Alderman Rodriguez Sanchez.
No.
Alderman Austin.
Yes.
Alderman Ramirez Rosa.
No.
Alderman Villegas.
Yes.
Alderman Mitz.
Yes.
Alderman Spizzato.
Yes.
Alderman Nugent.
Yes.
Alderman Vasquez.
No.
Alderman Napolitano.
No.
Alderman Riley.
Yes.
Alderman Smith.
Yes.
Alderman Tunney.
Yes.
Alderman Gardner.
Yes.
Alderman Kappelman.
No.
Alderman Martin.
Yes.
Alderman Osterman.
Yes.
Alderman Haddon.
No.
Alderman Silverstein.
Yes.
Alderman Burke.
No.
Your Honor, there are 30 yeas and 20 nays.
The motion to call the question is granted. Chairman Dow.
Dow.
Chairman Dow, please proceed.
Yes, Madam President, if there's no other comment, I move that we have a vote on this matter.
Mr. Clerk, please call the roll. And to be clear, what you're voting on is the emergency ordinance. A yay vote is support of the ordinance, a nay vote is against it. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Laspada.
No.
Alderman Hopkins.
No.
Alderman Dowell.
Aye.
Alderman King.
No.
Alderman Hairston.
No.
Alderman Sawyer.
No.
Alderman Mitchell.
No.
Alderman Harris.
Yes.
Alderman Beal.
No.
Alderman Sedlowski Garza.
Aye.
Alderman Thompson.
Aye.
Alderman Cardenas.
Aye.
Alderman Quinn.
Aye.
Alderman Burke.
No.
Alderman Lopez.
No.
Alderman Coleman.
No.
Alderman Moore.
No.
Alderman Curtis.
Aye.
Alderman O'Shea.
Aye.
Alderman Taylor. Alderman Taylor.
No.
Alderman Brookins. Alderman Brookins.
Aye.
Alderman Rodriguez.
No.
Alderman Tavares.
Aye.
Alderman Scott.
Aye.
Alderman Cicho Lopez.
No.
Alderman Maldonado.
No.
Alderman Burnett.
Yes.
Alderman Irvin.
No.
Alderman Telefiero.
Aye.
Alderman Raboyes.
Aye.
Alderman Cardona.
Yes.
Alderman Wagispack.
Yes.
Alderman Rodriguez Sanchez.
No.
Alderman Austin.
Aye.
Alderman Ramirez Rosa.
No.
Alderman Villegas.
Aye.
Alderman Mitz.
Aye.
Alderman Spizzato.
Yes.
Alderman Nugent. I'm sorry, Alderman Nugent. Is that aye, Alderman?
Yes.
Thank you. Alderman Vasquez.
No.
Alderman Napolitano.
No.
Alderman Riley.
Aye.
Alderman Smith.
Aye.
Alderman Tunney.
Aye.
Alderman Gardner.
Aye.
Alderman Kappelman.
Aye.
Alderman Martin.
No.
Alderman Osterman.
Aye.
Alderman Haddon.
Aye.
Alderman Silverstein. Alderman Silverstein.
Aye.
Your Honor, there are 29 yeas, 21 nays.
Alderman Thompson on the motion for reconsideration.
Thank you, Madam President. I motion that we reconsider the last vote.
All those in favor of the motion for reconsideration say aye.
Aye. Yes.
Aye.
All those opposed say no.
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 The noes have it. The motion for reconsideration is denied. Committee reports. The chair recognizes Alderman Wegasback, Finance Committee.
Thank you, Madam President. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm reporting for the City Council's Committee on Finance, which met March 12th, 2020. I will call item number 6 first, which is an ordinance concerning the sale of city-owned property located at 3518 and 3520 South Halsted Street, and the authority to enter into and execute a redevelopment agreement with Our Revival Chicago LLC for the restoration of the Ramova Theater located in the 11th Ward. This item was approved by the committee by voice vote. If no one wishes to speak on the matter, I move to concur with the recommendation of the committee by roll call vote. This is in Alderman Thompson's word. I didn't know if Alderman Thompson wished to speak on it.
Alderman Clerk, or sorry, the chairman, Mr. Clerk, let me try it one more time. Please
Madam
call
President.
roll.
Madam President,
The chair recognizes Alderman Thompson.
sorry. Yeah, we've had a lot of debate. I'm just wanted to say that this is going to be a great project for our ward in the city of Chicago, and I'll keep my comments very brief. And I just want to thank members of the committee and respectfully request that the council support this project. It's going to be great for the entire city. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Thompson. Now again, Mr. Clerk, if no one else chooses to speak, please call the roll.
Alderman Spada.
Aye.
Alderman Hopkins.
Aye.
Alderman Dowell.
Aye.
Alderman King.
Aye.
Alderman Hairston.
Aye.
Alderman Sawyer.
Aye.
Alderman Mitchell. Alderman Mitchell. I'm sorry, Alderman. Alderman Harris.
Aye.
Alderman Beal.
Aye.
Alderman Sedlowski Garza. Alderman Garza. Alderman Thompson.
Aye.
Alderman Cardenas.
Aye.
Alderman Quinn.
Aye.
Alderman Burke.
Aye.
Alderman Lopez.
Aye.
Alderman Coleman.
Aye.
Alderman Moore.
Aye.
Alderman Curtis.
Aye.
Alderman O'Shea.
Aye.
Alderman Taylor.
Aye.
Alderman Brookins.
Aye.
Alderman Rodriguez.
Aye.
Alderman Tabares.
Aye.
Alderman Scott.
Aye.
Alderman Cicho Lopez.
Aye.
Alderman Maldonado.
Aye.
It was quite a.
Alderman Burnett.
Aye.
Alderman Irvin.
Aye.
Alderman Telefiero.
Aye.
Alderman Raboyes.
Aye.
Alderman Cardona.
Aye.
Alderman Wagisback.
Aye.
Alderman Rodriguez Sanchez. Alderman Sanchez. Alderman
Aye.
Austin.
Aye.
Alderman Ramirez Rosa.
Yes.
Alderman Villegas.
Aye.
Alderman Mitz. Alderman Mitz.
Aye.
Alderman Spizzato.
Aye.
Alderman Nugent. Alderman Nugent.
Yes.
Alderman Vasquez.
Aye.
Alderman Napolitano.
Aye.
Alderman Riley.
Aye.
Alderman Smith.
Aye.
Alderman Tunney.
Aye.
Alderman Gardner.
Aye.
Alderman Kappelman.
Aye.
Alderman Martin.
Aye.
Alderman Osterman.
Aye.
Alderman Haddon.
Aye.
Alderman Silverstein.
Aye.
Alderman Sedlowski Garza. Alderman Garza. Your Honor, there are 49 yeas, no nays.
Alderman Thompson on the motion for reconsideration.
Thank you, Madam President. I motion that we reconsider the last vote. Uh-oh.
Nay.
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 No.
No.
The motion for reconsideration apparently fails. Thank you. The chair recognizes Chairman Wagisback.
Thank you, Madam President. Going back to item number 1, this is an ordinance authorizing the issuance of up to $15 million in multifamily program funds and the execution of a funding loan agreement with Casa Veracruz LLC for the acquisition and redevelopment of 155 affordable housing units in various locations across the following wards: 15th, 22nd, 24, and 25. This item was approved by the committee by voice vote. If no one wishes to speak on this matter, I move to concur with the recommendation of the committee on the previous vote, most favorable vote of the committee. Roll call vote.
Hearing no objection, so ordered.
Thank you, Madam President. Item number 2 is an ordinance authorizing the restructure of a loan and the provision of a multifamily housing loan of up to $1 million and the provision of a multifamily housing loan to Heartland Phoenix House LLC to finance ongoing and future rehabilitation of the building located at 1251 South Sawyer Avenue. This item was approved by the committee by voice vote. If no one wishes to speak on the matter, I move to concur with the recommendation of the committee by the first most favorable roll call vote.
Hearing no objection, so ordered.
Madam President, item number 3 is the appointment of Helene D. Gale as a member of the Chicago Community Catalyst Fund Board. This item was approved by the committee by voice vote, and if no one wishes to speak on the matter, I move to concur with the recommendation of the committee by the first roll call vote.
And Chairman Wagisback, do you also want to link this with the first motion for reconsideration as well?
And the first motion for reconsideration on item number 6. Yes, ma'am.
Hearing no objection, so ordered.
One second, ma'am. Item number 4 is the appointment of Gloria Castillo as a member of the Chicago Community Catalyst Fund Board. This item was approved by the committee by voice vote. If no one wishes to speak on this matter, I move to concur with the recommendation of the committee by roll call vote and the subsequent motion to reconsider, failed motion to reconsider.
Hearing no objection, so ordered.
Item number 5 is the reappointment of Juan Carlos Avila as a member of the Chicago Community Catalyst Fund Board. This item was approved by the committee by voice vote. If no one wishes to speak on the matter, I move to concur with the recommendation of the committee by the first roll call vote and subsequent failed motion to reconsider.
Hearing no objection, so ordered.
Madam President, item number 7 is an ordinance authorizing the utilization of tax increment financing funds and corporate funds for the implementation of the Invest South West program. This item was approved by the committee by voice vote. If no one wishes to speak on the matter, I move to concur with the recommendation of the committee by the roll call vote, first roll call vote, and the subsequent failed motion to reconsider.
The chair recognizes Alderman Irvin.
Thank you, Madam President. Again, the point for Invest Southwest, I must reiterate the exclusion of the community of Garfield Park that's part of this program. The Garfield Park is the heart of the west side of Chicago. And for this community to be excluded, I think is not in the best interest of the west side and of the city in its entirety. If Garfield Park rises, I believe the city of Chicago will rise right along with it. So while I will support this because the communities of Austin, the communities of North Lawndale, and other communities on the west side are specifically noted, I must speak to the exclusion of Garfield Park in this endeavor. And I hope that the members of your staff and administration will take note of this and really put the dedicated and necessary resources in for the communities of East and West Garfield Park, because they are the heart of the west side of Chicago. Thank you.
Alderman Irvin, as you've raised this issue before, I will respond in kind as I have. As you well know, as we've explained to you multiple times, this initial foray in Invest Southwest is a beginning, not an ending. And we chose the communities after a lot of study and analysis. We are looking to build upon it as we move into implementing this first phase of Invest Southwest. If there are no other comments, the chair.
Thank you, Madam President.
The chair recognizes Alderman Cardenas.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I echo, obviously, my colleague in terms of Invest Southwest. I want to add, and this is the second phase, you talked about the first phase, and that's great. In light of what's going on in Little Village and Barton Park, I want to make sure those communities are part of your second phase. And I just want to make that point, and obviously for the record. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. Anyone else? I don't believe any other members have raised their hand to speak. So I'm going back to Chairman Wegesbach.
Thank you, Madam Chair. President, I move passage by the first most favorable vote of the Committee on Finance and the subsequent unsuccessful motion to reconsider.
Hearing no objection, so ordered.
Thank you. Items 8 through 20 are all ordinances amending the expiration dates of certain TIFs to bring them into compliance with state law. The following TIFs are affected. Item 8 through 20, it was the Woodlawn TIF, the Roosevelt Union TIF, Roosevelt Cicero TIF, Portage Park TIF, Jefferson Park Business District TIF, North Cicero TIF, Near North TIF, Holman Arlington TIF, Clark Street and Ridge Avenue TIF, 11th Street Kedzie Avenue TIF, excuse me, that's 11th Street Kedzie Avenue Business District Plan, 79th Street Corridor TIF, the Clark Montrose TIF, and the Western and Ogden TIF. I move passage, unless anyone wishes to speak on this, I move passage by the first most favorable roll call vote on the Committee on Finance report and the corresponding unsuccessful motion to reconsider.
Hearing no objection, so ordered.
Madam President, item number 21 is an ordinance amending chapters 3-43 and 3-44 of the Municipal Code of the City of Chicago regarding taxes on shipments of retail bottled water and alcoholic beverages from outside Chicago. This item was approved by the committee by voice vote. If no one wishes to speak on this matter, I move passage by the first most favorable roll call vote on the Committee on Finance report and the corresponding unsuccessful motion to reconsider.
Hearing no objection, so ordered.
Madam President, item 22 is an ordinance amending Chapter 4-156 of the Municipal Code of the City of Chicago regarding amusement tax and admission fees for tour boat operators. This item was approved by the committee by voice vote. If no one wishes to speak on this matter, I'd like to move for passage by the first most favorable roll call vote of the Committee on Finance report and the corresponding unsuccessful motion to reconsider.
Hearing no objection, so ordered.
Item 23 is an ordinance amending Section 9-100-030B of the Municipal Code of the City of Chicago regarding vehicle parking, standing, or compliance violations. This item was approved by the committee by voice vote. If no one wishes to speak on it, I move passage by the first most favorable roll call vote of the Committee on Finance report and the corresponding unsuccessful motion to reconsider.
Hearing no objection, so ordered. Pardon me? The chair recognizes Alderman Irvin. Just advise Alderman, if you want to speak, please raise your hand as quickly as possible so we can move expeditiously. Alderman Irvin.
Thank you, Madam President. What's to be recorded is no on that last ordinance.
So reflected.
Okay.
Chairman Wagasback.
Madam President, item 24 is an ordinance amending Section 2-32-031 of the Municipal Code of the City of Chicago to authorize the Chief Financial Officer to procure an owner-controlled insurance program, or OSIP, insurance policy for construction and operations at Chicago's airports. This item was approved by the committee by voice vote, and if no one wishes to speak on this particular item, I move passage by the first most favorable roll call vote of the Committee on Finance report and the corresponding unsuccessful motion to reconsider.
Hearing no objection, so ordered.
Madam President, item number 25 is regarding monthly settlements through the Law Department and will be placed on file with the clerk. Item number 26 will be held until further notice, as the committee will not be issuing permits for solicitation while the city remains under stay-in-place orders. Items 27 and 28 consist of authorizations for the payment of various small claims against the city and denials of payments of various small claims against the city. If there is no objection, I ask that these items be placed on the omnibus.
Hearing no objection, so ordered.
Madam President, could you give me a second, please?
Sure.
Okay. Madam President, item 29A is an order authorizing Corporation Counsel to enter into and execute a settlement in the case of Joanna Palmer as administrator of the estate of Romello Palmer, deceased, versus City of Chicago. I move passage by the first most favorable roll call vote on the Committee on Finance report and the corresponding unsuccessful motion to reconsider, with the exception that Alderman Lopez, Nugent, Sposato, Quinn, Thompson, Moore, Gardiner, Beal, Napolitano, and Cardona wish to be recorded as voting no on item 29A. And I'll pause for a second to see if anybody else would like to be recorded as voting no.
There are no other aldermen who. So ordered.
Okay. Madam President, this concludes the report of the Committee on Finance from last month, and thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Wagasback. Next is Committee on Economic, Capital, and Technology Development, Chairman Villegas.
Madam President, members of the City Council, reporting for the Committee on Economic, Capital, and Technology Development, which held a meeting on March 10th, 2020. The committee has a series of reports recommending passage of the following items. Items 1 through 5 are a series of appointments and reappointments to various special service areas. Number 1 is Thompson Paspalas and Alexander Theoharis to SSA number 16 in the Greektown Hosted Commission. Wallace S. Anderson to SSA number 24, Clark Street Commission. Bonita Roy to SSA number 42, 71st Street Stony Commission. Mario Correra to SSA number 62, the Saguenash Commission. I move passage of these items by the first favorable roll call vote of the Committee on Finance and associated unsuccessful motion to reconsider.
Hearing no objection, so ordered.
Item 6 is a substitute ordinance for the designation of portions of East 95th Street Tax Increment Financing District and approval of tax allocation financing for redevelopment projects. I move passage of this item by the first favorable roll call vote of the Committee on Finance and associated unsuccessful motion to reconsider.
Hearing no objection, so ordered.
Item 7 is a substitute ordinance for support of a Class L tax incentive for property at 226 West Jackson Boulevard. This item will not be reported out, as instead being held until the applicants for the tax incentive have satisfactorily responded to requests posed during the committee members' March meeting.
So ordered.
Madam President, that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Villegas. The Committee on Environmental Protection and Energy, Chairman Cardenas.
Madam President and members of the City Council, reporting for your Committee on Environmental Protection and Energy, which held a meeting on Thursday, March 12, 2020, to consider one item, a resolution 2019-746. A recommendation was made to pass, which was concurred by a voice vote for all committee members with no dissenting votes. There is one additional item that I'd like for the council to know. On April 20th, Alderman Villegas did, however, invoke Rule 14 to formally recuse himself from voting on this item. And I do have in my possession a letter written April 20, 2020. The states, please be advised that pursuant to City Council Rule 14 and Section 2-156-0806 B of the Municipal Code of Chicago, I invoke Rule 14 and have recused myself from participation in voting on the following record on the agenda on the City Council on January 15, 2020. That concludes my report, Madam Chair. If there are no other questions, then I yield.
Chairman Cardenas, you need to move for a vote on the.
I move passage. I'm sorry. I move passage of this item.
Point of information.
With the last roll call vote of the Finance Committee.
More point of information.
Roll.
Can you please let the alderman finish? When you talk over each other, it's very difficult to understand. I'm going to ask Chairman Cardenas to repeat his motion. And then again, if you wish to speak, please raise your hand and identify yourself.
Again, thank you, Madam Chair. Again, I move passage of this item with the less favorable vote on Finance Committee in the first item and its reconsideration as well. That concludes my report.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Alderman Moore.
Thank you. Something happened with my screen, but hopefully I'm still there somehow. It's my screen. I was just asking, in the past when somebody had to recuse themselves from a vote, I thought the new ordinance said it had to explain why. And in the past, we've been hearing why. I didn't hear why he had to recuse himself. Usually somebody says because somebody is a partner in a firm or something like that. And if that's not the case, then fine. But I thought that's what the ordinance that we passed stated.
Madam President.
Yes, Chairman Cardenas.
I know this is out of order now since the item I've concluded my remarks. But if members of the body would like to know the explanation, obviously the letter is in front of me and does state the reasoning for his recusal. And if I may, through the chair, able to read that, I will do that.
You can summarize it, Chairman Cardenas.
Thank you. The letter does state that within the preceding 12 months, I was a member of the consulting firm. This is Alderman Villegas, mind you, that worked for Nicor Gas, aka Southern Company. And although I have divested from the firm, I was not involved in this matter and did not receive any income or compensation for this matter. Out of abundance of caution, I will abstain. That is the end of the letter. And should any questions be raised, feel free to contact Alderman Villegas at 773-931-1136. Thank you, Madam Chair, for indulging me.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, excuse me, Madam President, this is Alderman Garza. I'm sorry my internet went out. I'd like to be recorded as a yes vote on the first meeting on the first vote on finance.
So noted, Alderman Garza. Alderman Cardenas's motion is to accept the committee report with the recusal as noted. If there are no further questions or objection, so ordered. All right, next is Committee on Housing and Real Estate, Chairman Osterman.
Thank you, Madam President. And members of the City Council, reporting for your Committee on Housing and Real Estate, which held a committee hearing Friday, March 13th. Committee has a series of reports recommending passage of the following. Item number 1 is a series of appointments and reappointments of the following committees: the Chicago Community Land Trust and the Chicago Low-Income Housing Trust Fund Board. A reappointment to the Chicago Community Land Trust Board is Lisette Castaneda. Appointing to the Low-Income Housing Trust Fund Board is Grace Chan McGibbon, Arshel Stevens, Emilio Carskello, Andrew Gear. Reappointments to that board are Tom McNulty, David Wells, Deborah Bennett, and Wayne Gordon. I move passage of this ordinance by the first favorable roll call vote of the Committee on Finance and the associated unsuccessful motion to reconsider.
Hearing no objection, so ordered.
Item 2 is a license agreement between the Bucktown Community Organization for installation of a mural on the exterior wall of the Bucktown Wicker Park Branch Library located at 1701 North Milwaukee in the 32nd Ward. I move passage of this item by the same motion if there is no objection.
Hearing no objection, so ordered.
Item 3 is the sale of Union Station air rights to Amtrak under the right of first offer agreement in conjunction with Amtrak, Chicago Union Station Head House, and Union Station Transportation Center improvements in the 42nd Ward. I move passage of this item by the same motion if there's no objection.
Hearing no objection, so ordered.
Item number 4 is the First Amendment to intergovernmental agreement with the Board of Trustees for the University of Illinois for continued occupancy of office spaces within city-owned building located at 641 West 63rd Street in the 20th Ward. I move passage of this item by the same motion if there's no objection.
Hearing no objection, so ordered.
Item number 5 is a third agreement, a lease agreement with the Illinois Sports Facility Authority governing use of property at 333 Southwest 35th Street by the Chicago Police Department for driver training in the 11th Ward. I move passage of this item, the same motion if there's no objection.
Hearing no objection, so ordered.
Item number 6 is the First Amendment of a lease agreement with Vanguard Archives Holdings, Inc. for use of space within the building at 3920 South Michigan Avenue by the Chicago Police Department in the 3rd Ward. I move passage of this item with the same motion if there's no objection.
Hearing no objection, so ordered.
The final item number 7 is a lease agreement with the Chicago Board of Education for use of the former South Shore High School at 7601, 7659 South Constance Avenue in the 8th Ward by the Chicago Police Department. I move passage of this item with the same motion if there's no objection.
Hearing no objection, so ordered.
Madam President, this concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Committee on License and Consumer Protection, Chairman Mitz.
Thank you, Madam President and members of the City Council. I'm reporting for the Committee on License and Consumer Protection. We held a meeting on March 11, 2020. Consider the following ordinance. Item number 02019-4125, a substitute ordinance to amend the municipal code regarding provision of horse-drawn carriage, introduced by Alderman Hopkins, Riley, Lopez, and others. Madam President, I move that this item be passed regarding the item. This order would be considered in the recommendation of the License Committee by the same roll call as item number 1 on the Committee of Finance, with the exception of Alderman Dow and Alderman Mitz voting no on this item, and the same unsuccessful motion to reconsider if there's no objection.
With those two caveats of the no votes, hearing no objection, so ordered.
Trying to raise my hand.
Oh. The chair recognizes Alderman Moore.
Thank you. Thank you. Just want to be recorded as a no vote on that. Thank you.
So noted.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishes to be heard on this particular item? If there would be no other, you see a hand? Alderman Taylor.
Wait 1 second.
Recorded as a no.
Just 1 second, folks. We follow the same procedure. If you want to be heard, raise your hand beforehand. We're pausing before we do anything so you can be recorded. But once we vote and we move on. But for this record, Alderman Taylor is also noted as a no vote. Chairman Miss, does that conclude your report?
That would conclude that part of the report. There are 4 ordinances regarding moratoriums in various wards. It was the 6th ward, the 27th ward, 43rd ward, and the 47th ward. These recommendations were also concurred in by a voice vote of the members of the License Committee on March 11. Madam President, I move that the City Council concur in the recommendation of the License Committee by the same roll call as item number 1 on the Committee on Finance, and the same unsuccessful motion to reconsider.
Hearing no objection, so ordered.
That concludes my report for the Committee on License and Consumer Protection. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Mitz. Committee on Pedestrian and Traffic Safety, Chairman Burnett.
Thank you, Madam President and members of the council. Reporting for your Committee on Pedestrian and Traffic Safety, for which a meeting was held on Thursday, March 12, 2020. Before the committee, there were 256 items. There were 239 routine traffic items that passed and 17 routine traffic items that did not pass. There was 1 item that passed, an amendment of Municipal Code 7-38-117 by establishing mobile food vehicle stands on portions of North Franklin Street, introduced by Alderman Brandon Riley, 42nd Ward. If there's no objections, I move for the passage of these ordinances in the omnibus. That concludes my report. Thank you, Madam President.
So ordered. And hearing no objection, so ordered. Committee on Transportation and Public Way, Chairman Brookins.
Thank you, Madam President. Reporting for your Committee on Transportation and Public Way, a meeting which was held on March 9, 2020. The following ordinances were passed by a majority of the members present. Pages 2 through 22 include 246 ordinances for grants of privileges introduced by the local aldermen from wards 1 through 6, 8 through 15, 17, 19 through 23, 25 through 33, 35, 36, and 39 through 50. Page 23 includes 9 ordinances for canopies introduced by local aldermen from wards 1, 2, 31, 32, 37, and 42. Pages 24 through 58 include 410 ordinances for sidewalk cafes introduced by local aldermen from wards 1 through 5, 11, 25 through 28, 31 through 33, and 38 through 49. Under Rule 14 of the Rules of Order and Procedure for the Chicago City Council, Alderman Tunney abstains from voting on the following item: a sidewalk cafe number 02020-1615 and 02020-1616, both are located in the 44th Ward. On pages 59 through 61 include 23 ordinances for miscellaneous items introduced by local aldermen from wards 2, 8, 11, 14, 26, 27, 30, 39, 42, 43, 45, 47, and 49. Page 62 includes the subdivision ordinance located in the 9th Ward. Under Rule 14 of the Rules of Order and Procedure of the City of Chicago, Alderman Thompson abstains from voting on the following item: Subdivision 02020-1805, located in the 6th Ward. On page 63 includes 2 vacation ordinance and 1 transfer ordinance located in the 6th, 24th, and 32nd Wards. If there's no objection, I move passage of these items by the last most favorable roll call vote on the Committee on Finance and the associated unsuccessful motion to reconsider.
Chair recognizes Alderman Moore.
Thank you, Madam President. In all fairness, I mean, if it's in our ordinance, and again, every other city council meeting, we've done it. If it's not the case, then fine, but I don't want any favoritism. If we're going to be, people are going to be recusing themselves, we have to state the reason, because I recall the ordinance stating that. So I just want us to be consistent, because we've done it with other people, and I just want us to be consistent with the ordinance.
So
I think Tony and Thompson recused themselves on some, so I think the reason should be stated if that's stated in the ordinance.
Chairman Brookins.
Thank you, Madam President. So in an abundance of caution, since Alderman Tunney is a restaurateur, and these are restaurants in his ward, to avoid the appearance of impropriety, he's recusing himself. With respect to Alderman Thompson, either he or a member of his firm has represented a member or someone associated with the subdivision ordinance.
All right. So Alderman Brookins, I believe that you have a motion.
Right. So if there's no further objection, I move passage of these items with the last most favorable roll call vote on the Committee on Finance and the associated unsuccessful motion to reconsider.
Hearing no objection, so ordered.
Thank you, Madam President. That concludes my report.
And Committee on Zoning, Landmarks, and Building Standards, Chairman Tunney.
Madam President and members of the City Council, presenting a series of reports for your Committee on Zoning, Landmarks, and Building Standards, which held a meeting on March 16, 2020. These reports are grouped for convenience. The following items were passed by a majority of the members present. Page 1 contains the amendment of Municipal Code Chapters 1710 and 1717 by adding new sections, that being 1710-1001 and 1717-0251.5 concerning electric vehicles and electric vehicle supply equipment. I hereby move passage of this item by the last most favorable roll call vote of the Finance Committee report and associated unsuccessful motion to reconsider.
Hearing no objection, so ordered.
Page 1 contains the amendment of the Chicago Sustainable Development Policy to prioritize bird collision deterrence strategies for building projects to reduce avian mortality and injury. I move passage of these items by the same motion if there's no objection.
Hearing no objection, so ordered.
Page 1 contains the amendment of Municipal Code Section 1364-150 to further regulate standards for installation of smoke alarms and smoke detectors, which passed by a roll call vote of 9-3. I move passage of these items by the same motion if there is no objection, noting that Alderman Talafiaro would like to be recorded as voting no on this matter.
The chair recognizes Alderman Moore.
Thank you, Madam President. I would also like to be recorded as a no, and also just as a point, this was brought up in committee with none of our representation from the Chicago Fire Department, from whom I understand opposed this. It was unfortunate and a little embarrassing that the firemen from another municipality had to come in and testify. And for me, our firefighters, as we're dealing with this pandemic, we're trusting in those subject matter experts. The firemen in our community, in our fire department, and our leadership there are our subject matter experts and going in every day saving lives. And for whatever reasons that they're opposed to this, I have to side with those subject matter experts. And I wish they would have had the opportunity to come before the committee and speak to us. So without me having the support of the fire department on an issue that relates to them, I cannot support this ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. The chair recognizes Alderman Beal.
Thank you, Madam President. I too wanted to join on a no vote on this particular ordinance. I was in committee and the fire chief was not informed about this hearing, and the fire department is not in support of the smoke detector ordinance. And I think it's really disheartening that the department that we rely on a day-to-day basis was not, number one, informed, and then number two, does not support this particular ordinance. And lastly, this ordinance is going to add an undue burden on our taxpayers and our senior citizens who are already struggling to make ends meet. And now we're going to require them to purchase smoke detectors that are much more expensive, batteries that are much more expensive. And I just think we're doing ourselves a disservice by putting this ordinance in and putting those extra burdens on the senior citizens, especially in this crisis. Thank you, Madam President.
The chair recognizes Alderman Lopez.
Thank you, Madam President. I too wish to virtually rise in opposition of this ordinance. Building on what my colleagues have previously mentioned, but also concerned that, as we've seen during this pandemic, we are continuing to talk to our communities, believing that they're at a particular point, but not seeing where they truly are, and asking them to meet the standards listed in this municipal ordinance is an unacceptable burden on many of the Black and brown communities, not only that I represent, but that exist throughout the city of Chicago. And we must rethink this. We should have put the pause on this when our own fire department was not participating or supporting of this. And I think it's a mistake to proceed forward with it today. And I would urge all of my colleagues to vote no on this matter. Thank you, Madam President.
The chair recognizes Alderman Austin.
Thank you, Madam President. I too oppose this ordinance. After speaking with our commissioner in regards to it, as Alderman Beal has already stated, I see this being an additional burden on the city as well as the taxpayer, because when they attempt to purchase it, it will cost more than those that are in place now and are given out by the fire department. So I would like to be recorded as voting no on this item. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Alderman. The chair recognizes Alderman Irvin. You're muted, sir. You're still muted. Sound good, though. Well, why don't we come back to you while you figure out the technical problems? I'm going to go to Alderman Curtis, and then we'll come back to you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I too, my sentiments are the same. I'm voting no on this item. I don't feel that, especially our senior population, will be able to afford a 10-year smoke detector. So I'll be voting no on this item also. Thank you.
Alderman Irvin, can we try again? You're still muted for some reason. Now you're unmuted. The chair recognizes Alderman Villegas.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ladies and gentlemen, this was tough, but this has been something that we've been working on for quite some time. And the reality is that back in 2017, the General Assembly passed state legislation that required that every dwelling have this 10-year battery. Chicago was exempted. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Chicago to get in this legislation and follow suit. The reason I've allowed for time for this to come to compliance, 2023 is when this actually comes to compliance. But I would also add that most smoke detectors last 10 years. And so if you've purchased the smoke detector, once that shelf life has expired, that's when you have to go from the old technology into the new technology. The fact that you have these fires that have killed people, not because of the fire, but more because of smoke inhalation, is been based on the fact that there's not working smoke detector. Because just as we're supposed to make sure that we change the batteries twice a year, a lot of times life happens and people forget. This is a life-saving smoke detector that will last for 10 years. It has the technology and the capability of reminding you when your smoke detector is going to run out and when it's time to change it. All this is just a upgrade with technology, and I would ask for a favorable consideration on this.
The chair recognizes Alderman Scott.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to be recorded as no on this vote as well.
In the committee vote?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yes.
So noted. The chair recognizes Alderman Mitz. Alderman Mitz, you need to unmute yourself. There you go.
Madam Chairman, I'm hearing the debate, and I would like to be recorded as a no vote on this item.
So noted.
Hello.
Chair recognizes.
Hello.
All right, Alderman Irvin.
Oh, thank you. You didn't mute me, did you? With all of this that's going on, it seems as if I wanted to make a motion to refer this back to the zoning committee because there seems to be a lot of misinformation or lack of understanding. So I'll put a motion to return this back to zoning committee.
Second.
Second, Alderman Lopez.
The motion on the floor is to return this matter back to the zoning committee. I assume, Alderman, you're asking for a roll call vote.
If it's necessary,
Madam Chair, this is Alderman Villegas.
Alderman Villegas.
Madam Chair, I'd like to go ahead and just return it back to zoning so that we can continue to adopt.
All right.
Call for a roll call.
So based on
Madam
Alderman.
Point of order,
Hold on.
please.
As I understand, your Alderman Irvin has asked for this return to the zoning committee. Alderman Villegas, who's the sponsor, has said no objection. Is that correct, Alderman Villegas?
Yes, Madam President.
Yeah. Madam Chair. Madam Chair.
Chairman Tunney?
Madam Chair, I move that we hold this in committee.
Second.
So the motion is for Chairman Tunney to hold the ordinance on the smoke detectors in committee.
I would withdraw my motion for his pending further hearings, not just being held, but further hearings.
Alderman
Is that
Tunney,
agreeable, Chairman Tunney?
Do you accept that amendment to your motion?
Yes, Madam Chair, we'll hold further hearing on this in committee, not just hold it in committee. We will have a committee hearing on it, on this item.
Hearing no objections, so ordered.
Okay.
Alderman Tunney.
Back to the committee report, pages 1 through 10 contain various map amendments in the 48th, 47th, 45th, 44th, 42nd, the 40th, 38th, 35th, 32nd, 31st, 27th, 26th, 25th, 23rd, 21st, the 20th, 14th, 11th, 6th, 5th, 3rd, and 1st wards. I move passage of these items by the same motion if there is no objection, noting that on document number 02020-153 for the property commonly known as 3615 through 3659 South Halsted Street, Alderman Thompson has abstained from voting under provisions of Rule 14.
And Chairman Tunney, because I expect Alderman Moore to ask for the explanation, can you provide the basis for the Rule 14 recusal?
Madam President, I believe he has an ownership interest in the properties and therefore needed to recuse himself. And I think his ward office is in there too.
No, Madam President.
Yes, Alderman Thompson.
Thank you. I raised to try to raise my hand. I do not have a ownership interest. The property, the subject property is owned by the 11th Ward Democratic Party. And as out of an abundance of caution, I'm abstaining from voting on this particular matter. The zoning changed from a C district to the B district.
Thank you, Alderman Thompson, for that clarification. Alderman Tunney.
Thank you, Alderman Thompson also. Page 10 contains various large signs over 100 square feet in area, 24 feet above grade in the 45th, the 44th, the 42nd, the 41st, 39th, 27th, 25th, 20th.
Chairman Tunney, if I can interrupt, I think we need to vote on the previous item and before you move forward.
All right, so I'll renew my motion on that item by the last most favorable roll call vote of finance and the unsuccessful motion to reconsider.
Hearing no objection, so ordered. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay, let me start again on page 10. Contains various large signs over 100 square feet in area, 24 feet above grade in the 45th, the 44th, the 42nd, the 41st, the 39th, the 27th, the 25th, 20th, 13th, 11th, and 2nd wards. I move passage of these items by the same motion if there is no objection.
Hearing no objection, so ordered.
And page 11 contains 2 historical landmark designations in the 42nd and 3rd ward. I move passage of these items by the same motion if there is no objection, with the exception of document number 02020-743, the historical landmark designation for 226 West Jackson, which is being held at the request of the applicant in committee.
Hearing no objection, so ordered.
Madam President, that concludes my report.
That concludes the committee reports. Agreed calendar. Chairman Harris.
Thank you, Madam President. I've received from the city clerk, Anna M. Valencia, a total of 98 items proposed for the agreed calendar, consisting of congratulatory, commemorative, and tributary resolutions for the following aldermen and Clerk Valencia. Clerk Valencia, Alderman Thompson, Alderman Quinn, Alderman Burke, Alderman Lopez, Alderman Curtis, Alderman Brookins, Alderman Austin, Alderman Mitz, Alderman Nugent, Alderman Tunney, and Alderman Gardner. I move passage of the agreed calendar in the omnibus, please.
Hearing no objection, so ordered. New business. The clerk will call the wards beginning with the first.
Claims, free permits, license fee exemptions, which are referred to the Committee on Finance. Zoning amendments, which are referred to the Committee on Zoning, Landmarks, and Building Standards.
Can't hear them.
Traffic regulations, traffic control signals, and traffic signs, which are referred to the Committee on Pedestrian and Traffic Safety. Grants of privilege on and over the public way, which are referred to the Committee on Transportation and Public Way. Exemption from physical barrier requirement for commercial driveway alley access for parking facilities, which are referred to the Committee on Transportation and Public Way. Alderman Lespada has a proposed resolution to call for Governor J.B. Pritzker and the Illinois State Legislature to enact tax increment financing to support small businesses during state of Illinois disaster proclamations, which is referred to the Committee on Economic, Capital, and Technology Development. Alderman Hopkins has a proposed ordinance for amendment of Municipal Code Section 7-28-785 to further regulate requirements for installation and maintenance of collection bins, which are referred to the Committee on License and Consumer Protection. Alderman Hopkins also has a proposed ordinance for amendment of Municipal Code Titles 4 and 8 concerning fines for violations of outdoor patio regulation, which are referred to the Committee on License and Consumer Protection. Alderman Hopkins also has a proposed resolution to call for week of May 17th through the 23rd, 2020 as National Public Works Week, which is referred to the Committee on Committees and Rules. Alderman Hopkins and Alderman Vasquez have a proposed resolution to call for Governor J.B. Pritzker and Mayor Lori Lightfoot to issue executive orders to ensure confirmation of residential and commercial garbage and recycling services during COVID-19 pandemic, which is referred to the Committee on Environmental Protection and Energy. Alderman Dowell has proposed orders for the issuance of permits for signboards, which are referred to the Committee on Zoning, Landmarks, and Building Standards. Alderman King has proposed ordinance for amendment of Municipal Code Chapter 2-8 by adding new section 2-8-015 requiring City Council approval for legislation during declared disaster, which is referred to the Committee on Ethics and Government Oversight. Alderman Sawyer and Alderman King have a proposed resolution calling for hearings on the impact of proposed merger of Advocate Trinity Hospital, Mercy Hospital and Medical Center, South Shore Hospital, and St. Bernard Hospital, which is referred to the Committee on Health and Human Relations. Alderman Sawyer and others have a proposed resolution to call for Mayor Lori Lightfoot to publicly endorse reforms to police union collective bargaining agreements, which is referred to the Committee on Workforce Development. Alderman Beal has a proposed resolution call for hearings on Mayoral Executive Order 2020-1 regarding contract executions, reallocation of appropriated funds, and temporary agreements for use and occupancy of real estate, which is referred to the Committee on the Budget and Government Operations. Alderman Sedlowski Garza and others have a proposed resolution to call for House Speaker Michael Madigan, Senate President Don Harmon, and the members of the Illinois General Assembly to place SJRCA number 23, the Workers' Rights Amendment, on the November 3, 2020 State of Illinois General Election ballot, which is referred to the Committee on Workforce Development. Alderman Garza and others also have a proposed resolution to call on the Illinois General Assembly to place HJRCA 37, the Workers' Rights Amendment, on November 3, 2020 General Election ballot, which is referred to the Committee on Workforce Development. Alderman Thompson has a proposed ordinance for approval of a plat of Liberty re-subdivision, which is referred to the Committee on Transportation and Public Way. Alderman Thompson also has a proposed order for the issuance of permits for signboards at 2477 South Archer Avenue, which is referred to the Committee on Zoning, Landmarks, and Building Standards. Alderman Cardenas has a proposed ordinance for amendment of Municipal Code, Chapter 11-4, by modifying it Section 11-4-360 and adding new Section 11-4-365 concerning enforcement of inspections and violations of environmental regulations, which is referred to the Committee on Environmental Protection and Energy. Alderman Cardenas also has a proposed ordinance for amendment of Municipal Code, Section 17-13-0905C, to further regulate special uses within planned manufacturing districts, which is referred to the Committee on Zoning, Landmarks, and Building Standards. Alderman Cardenas also has a proposed resolution to call for hearings to explore possible options for establishing free broadline internet for all households in the city of Chicago, which is referred to the Committee on Economic, Capital, and Technology Development. Alderman Quinn has a proposed ordinance for amendment of Municipal Code, Title 4, by modifying various sections to prohibit the advertising, listing, renting, or booking of vacation rentals within restricted residential zones and establishing fines related for violations thereof, which is referred to the Committee on License and Consumer Protection. Alderman Quinn also has a proposed ordinance to call for a 90-day signature collection period for restricted residential zones for new or additional shared housing units or vacation rentals be told for duration of Mayoral Executive Order 2020-10, which is referred to the Committee on License and Consumer Protection. Alderman Burke and others have a proposed ordinance for amendment of Municipal Code, Section 3-8-050, to recognize deaths of Chicago police officers,
Mr.
firefighters.
Clerk,
Yes,
I'd like to be referred to finance.
which matter was that, Alderman?
That would be Alderman Burke's.
Two committees being called, the Committee on Public Safety and the Committee on Finance. The matter is referred to the Committee on Committees and Rules. Alderman Lopez has a proposed resolution for amendment of a resolution establishing membership of the Committee on the Budget and Government Operations, which is referred to the Committee on Committees and Rules. Alderman Lopez also has a proposed resolution to call for Chicago Housing Authority to accept and adopt waivers and updates issued under the Federal CARES Act, which is referred to the Committee on Housing and Real Estate. Alderman Lopez and others have a proposed ordinance for amendment of Municipal Code, Title 3, by adding new Chapter 3-10 entitled Essential Municipal Employees Death Benefit Act, which is referred to the Committee on Finance. Alderman Coleman has a proposed ordinance to call for establishment of public-private fund to assist in installation and maintenance of hand sanitizing stations in governmental, commercial, and residential facilities, which is referred to the Committee on Health and Human Relations. Alderman O'Shea has a proposed ordinance for vacation of public alleys adjacent to 11303 through 11305 South Spalding Avenue, which is referred to the Committee on Transportation and Public Way. Alderman Brookins has a proposed resolution to call for the Chicago Board of Education to convey ownership of property located at 8131 South May Street to the Public Building Commission to facilitate sale of property to Carroll Properties for residential development, which is referred to the Committee on Housing and Real Estate. Alderman Brookins has a proposed order for the issuance of permits for signboards at 8522 South Lafayette Avenue, which is referred to the Committee on Zoning, Landmarks, and Building Standards. Alderman Rodriguez has proposed orders for the issuance of permits for signboards at various locations, which is referred to the Committee on Zoning, Landmarks, and Building Standards. Alderman Tabarez has a proposed order for the issuance of permits for signboards at 4354 West 63rd Street, which is referred to the Committee on Zoning, Landmarks, and Building Standards. Alderman Burnett has a proposed ordinance for amendment of Municipal Code, Section 4-60-022, to allow additional alcoholic liquor licenses on portion of West Lake Street, which is referred to the Committee on License and Consumer Protection. Alderman Burnett has a proposed ordinance for amendment of Municipal Code Section 4-60-022 to allow additional alcoholic liquor licenses on portion of North Morgan Street, which is referred to the Committee on License and Consumer Protection. Alderman Burnett also has a proposed ordinance for amendment of Municipal Code Section 4-60-023 to allow additional package goods licenses on portion of North Wall Street, which is referred to the Committee on License and Consumer Protection. Alderman Burnett has proposed orders for the issuance of permits for signboards, which are referred to the Committee on Zoning, Landmarks, and Building Standards. Alderman Burnett also has a proposed ordinance for the vacation of public alleys in the area bounded by West Kinsey Street, North Peoria Street, Lyman Street, and North Sangamore Street, which is referred to the Committee on Transportation and Public Way. Alderman Wagenspack has proposed orders for amendment of Municipal Code Chapter 4-8 by adding new Section 4-8-300 to regulate third-party food delivery service fees, which is referred to a joint committee of the Committee on Finance and the Committee on License and Consumer Protection.
Rules.
Mr. Clerk, rules.
Rules.
Two committees having been called, the matter is referred to the Committee on Rules. Alderman Wagenspack has proposed orders for the issuance of permits for signboards, which are referred to the Committee on License or Zoning, Landmarks, and Building Standards. Alderman Wagasback and Alderman Cardenas have a proposed resolution in celebration of Earth Day and to call on Governor J.B. Pritzker to support local farmers, farmers markets, and nurseries to provide economic security to local producers and ensure that Illinoisans have increased access to affordable and sustainable food during COVID-19 pandemic, which is referred to the Committee on Environmental Protection and Energy. Alderman Ramirez Rosa and others have a proposed order to call for Chicago Budget Director to identify COVID-19 impacted special events, outdoor activities, and festivals, and draft ordinance amending 2020 annual appropriation ordinance to reappropriate funds for these events to Chicago's COVID-19 Housing Assistance Grant, which is referred to the Committee on the Budget and Government Operations.
Finance.
Two committees being called. The matter is referred to the Committee on Committees, Rules, and Ethics. Alderman Villegas has a proposed ordinance to call for the Department of Planning and Development Commissioner to update Cook County tax incentive application criteria for city approval of all project to date utilization, projected utilization for property owners within certain business enterprise classifications, which is referred to the Committee on Economic, Capital, and Technology Development. Alderman Villegas has a proposed resolution to call for United States Congress to enact and fund National Water Affordability Program modeled after Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program, which is referred to the Committee on Economic, Capital, and Technology Development. Alderman Spizzato has a proposed ordinance for amendment of Municipal Code, Section 4-60-023, to allow additional packaged goods licenses on portion of West Irving Park Road, which is referred to the Committee on License and Consumer Protection. Alderman Vasquez has a proposed ordinance for amendment of Municipal Code, Chapter 2-152, by adding new Section 2-152-105, requiring safety and protective equipment to be provided to persons employed or contracted to do work with City of Chicago during disasters, which is referred to the Committee on Health and Human Relations. Alderman Vasquez and others have a proposed resolution to call for Governor J.B. Pritzker to exercise emergency authority to cap excessive fees and surcharges to restaurants by third-party delivery apps and bring aid and relief to restaurants burdened by stay-at-home order, which is referred to a joint committee of the Committee on Finance and the Committee on License and Consumer Protection. Alderman Vasquez and others also have a proposed ordinance for amendment of Municipal Code, Chapter 4-4, by adding a new Section 4-4-311, requiring licensed businesses to comply with emergency procedures issued by Governor of Illinois and Mayor of City of Chicago during declared disasters or emergency operations, which is referred to the Committee on Health and Human Relations. Alderman Napolitano has a proposed order for the issuance of permits for signboards.
I wish to be recognized. Okay, Madam Chair, I'd like to introduce an additional ordinance to establish a new Section 2-8-015 of the Municipal Code to be assigned to the Committee on Health and Human Relations.
Alderman, you're out of order. As you're well aware, the clerk's office has a requirement that any ordinances must be posted 48 hours prior to the council meeting.
Point of order.
Because your ordinance has not been posted in that time period, I'm ruling that you're out of order.
Sure. Point of order. Individual items only need to be listed on an agenda 48 hours in advance. If a final action is to be taken at a meeting, introduction is not a final action, and we are at the presentation by alderman section of the agenda.
I disagree with your reading of the clerk's rules.
I appeal to the
You're out
body.
of order. I deny the motion. Mr. Clerk, please proceed.
So for clear, okay.
Point of order, Madam President. Alderman Lopez.
Alderman Lopez.
Thank you, Madam President. I believe Alderman Vasquez asked to appeal the decision of the chair on the matter of whether or not this was an out of order. If this was in fact out of order.
I did not hear Alderman Vasquez say that.
I did in fact say that, Madam Chair.
Mr. Clerk. Mr. Clerk, please proceed.
Alderman Napolitano has a proposed order for the issuance of permits for signboards at 8755 West Higgins Road, which is referred to Committee on Zoning, Landmarks, and Building Standards. Alderman Riley has a proposed ordinance for amendment of municipal code, section 4-244-140, to prohibit peddling in certain areas of the 42nd Ward, which is referred to the Committee on License and Consumer Protection. Alderman Riley has proposed ordinance for amendment of municipal code, section 4-60-130, concerning hours of operation for outdoor patio establishments within Central Business District, which is referred to the Committee on License and Consumer Protection. Alderman Riley also has proposed orders for the issuance of permits for signboards, which are referred to the Committee on Zoning, Landmarks, and Building Standards. And proposed ordinance for a transfer of funds within the City Council Legislative Reference Bureau for the year 2020, which is referred to the Committee on the Budget and Government Operations. Alderman Riley also has a proposed ordinance for a vacation of East Bellevue Place between North State Street and North Rush Street, which is referred to the Committee on Transportation and Public Way. Alderman Smith has a proposed ordinance for an honorary street designation as Honorary John Prine Way, which is referred to the Committee on Transportation and Public Way. Alderman Smith and others have a proposed resolution to call for hearings on juvenile intervention and support centers operations, which is referred to a joint committee comprised of the Committee on the Budget and Government Operations, Committee on Ethics and Government Oversight, and the Committee on Public Safety. Alderman Smith and others have a proposed ordinance requiring any individual over age of 2 to cover nose and mouth with mask or cloth face covering when in public places, which is referred to the Committee on Health and Human Relations.
Rules.
2 committees being called. The matter is referred to the Committee on Committees and Rules. Alderman Kappelman and Alderman Osterman have a proposed ordinance for an honorary street designation as Honorary Sullen Long Way, which is referred to the Committee on Transportation and Public Way. Alderman Martin has a proposed order for the issuance of permits for signboards at 4772 North Lincoln Avenue, which is referred to the Committee on Zoning, Landmarks, and Building Standards. Alderman Martin and others have a proposed resolution to call for Governor J.B. Pritzker to secure mortgage forbearance, waiver of mortgage-related late fees, and commitment to refrain from reporting late payments to credit reporting agencies for non-federal lenders and servicers of residential mortgages, which is referred to the Committee on Housing and Real Estate.
Finance. Rules.
2 committees been called. The matter is referred to the Committee on Committees and Rules. Alderman Martin and others also have a proposed ordinance to call for rent relief protection for renters who lost income during COVID-19 stay-at-home order, which is referred to the Committee on Housing and 3 committees having been called. The Committee on Housing, Budget, and Finance. The matter is referred to the Committee on Committees and Rules.
Point of information, this is Alderman Rosa. Who called the separate committees?
I call budget. Burnett called budget.
Okay, thank you. And who called finance for the record?
Riley called finance.
All right, thank you.
Alderman Haddon has a proposed ordinance for amendment of Municipal Code, Chapter 7-20, by adding a new section 7-20-121 to establish regulations for senior buildings during public health emergencies, which is referred to the Committee on Health and Human Relations. That concludes the calling of the wards.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Alderman Mitchell for approval of the journals.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm not aware of any corrections. I move to approve the journals for February 19, 2020, March 18, 2020, April 15, 2020, and April 22nd, 2020.
Hello.
Yes, thank you, Alderman Mitchell. Will the alderman please make sure their microphones are muted? All those in favor of approving the journals signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say no. The motion is carried. Finished business, Alderman Mitchell.
Madam President, I'm not aware of any unfinished business.
Miscellaneous business, Alderman Mitchell.
Madam President, I'm not aware of any other miscellaneous business.
Pardon me, Alderman Lopez. Chair recognizes Alderman Lopez.
Thank you, Madam President. In accordance with Rule 13, I'd like to invoke my right for personal privilege at this time.
What is the nature of your motion, sir?
As it states in the rules, this allows me the opportunity to discuss when matters of a member's integrity, character, or motives have been assailed, questioned, or impugned, and I wish to address that matter at this time.
And sir, during the course of this proceeding, how has your integrity been assailed?
Madam President, that is not up for debate. It is my right per our rules and procedure to invoke this at this time.
I believe that you have to have a basis within the confines of this meeting, and you have to articulate that. Otherwise, I'm going to rule your motion out of order.
It is not according to our rules, as I quote, "The right of a member to address the council on a question of personal privilege shall be limited to cases in which his integrity, character, or motives are assailed, questioned, or impugned." It does not state it has to be in this meeting. It has to be on topic of which I have a topic. So I am invoking my right to address that here in this body, because my reputation, as well as the reputation and character of several members of this body, have been impugned, and I demand my right per our rules to address this matter publicly.
You out of order because they weren't done here.
I'm sorry, who's speaking?
That's
Chairman
Alderman Austin. Yes, I'm sorry. I'm questioning in regards to Alderman Lopez, in regards to he and several others' rights being impugned. But were they done in this body?
And I believe that based upon the previous question I asked, the answer was no.
And the rules do not require it to be as such, Madam President. It does not state that it has to be in chamber, which is why.
Alderman Lopez, I'm going to roll you out of order.
Then I appeal the decision of the chair to the body.
The question before the body is whether or not Alderman Lopez is out of order. And the ruling of the chair is that Rule 13 applies to issues that are raised in the context of a proceeding before the body. All those.
As a roll call, please.
All those in favor of sustaining the ruling of the chair signify by saying aye.
As a roll call, please.
Roll call.
Roll call, Madam President.
No.
This is Alderman Maldonado. Can I get a clarification from the parliamentarian?
We left the Greens out.
Madam President, I asked for a roll call vote on the appeal.
This is Alderman Maldonado. Can I get a point of order? Can I get a clarification from the parliamentarian on this, on that rule?
Madam President, there is no parliamentarian.
I have, in response to Alderman Maldonado's request, I've conferred with the parliamentarian, and he concurs with my interpretation of Rule 13. Alderman Lopez has asked for a roll call vote on the ruling of the chair, which is that his order, his motion on Rule 13 is out of order because he has not identified any way in which during the course of this proceeding, his or anyone else's integrity was impugned. So a yes vote is sustaining the ruling of the chair.
Fucking God.
Move on. Mr. Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Alderman Laspada.
Nay.
Alderman Hopkins.
Aye.
Alderman Dowell. Alderman Dowell.
Aye.
Alderman King.
Yes.
Alderman Hairston. Alderman Hairston. Alderman Sawyer.
No.
Was that Alderman Hairston?
Yes, it was.
Alderman Hairston votes no. Alderman Sawyer.
No.
Alderman Sawyer votes no. Alderman Mitchell.
We'll vote yes.
Alderman Harris,
Aye.
Alderman Beal,
No.
Alderman Sedlowski Garza,
Aye.
Alderman Thompson,
Aye.
Alderman Cardenas,
Aye.
Alderman Quinn,
Aye.
Alderman Burke,
No.
Alderman Lopez,
No.
Alderman Coleman,
No.
Alderman Moore, Alderman Moore,
We're voting for time to explain will now in 5 seconds.
Alderman Moore, Alderman Curtis, Alderman Curtis, Alderman O'Shea,
Aye.
Alderman Taylor,
No.
Alderman Brookins.
Aye.
Is that aye, Alderman Brookins?
Yes.
Alderman Rodriguez,
Aye.
Alderman Tavares,
Aye.
Alderman Scott,
Aye.
Alderman Cicho Lopez,
No.
Alderman Maldonado,
Aye.
Alderman Burnett,
Aye.
Alderman Irvin,
Aye.
Alderman Telefiero,
Aye.
Alderman Raboyes,
Aye.
Alderman Cardona,
Aye.
Alderman Wagispack,
Aye.
Alderman Rodriguez Sanchez,
No.
Alderman Austin,
Aye.
Alderman Ramirez Rosa,
No.
Alderman Villegas,
Aye.
Alderman Mitz, Alderman Mitz, Alderman Spizzato,
Yes.
Alderman Nugent,
Alderman Mitzvahs, aye.
Alderman Nugent,
Yes.
Alderman Vasquez,
No.
Alderman Napolitano,
Aye.
Alderman Riley,
Aye.
Alderman Smith,
Aye.
Alderman Tunney,
Aye.
Alderman Gardner,
Aye.
Alderman Kappelman,
Aye.
Aye.
Alderman Osterman,
Aye.
Alderman Haddon,
No.
Alderman Silverstein,
Aye.
Alderman Moore, Alderman Curtis, Your Honor, there are 35 yeas and 13 nays.
The ruling of the chair is sustained. Alderman Mitchell, I believe that we were in the midst of miscellaneous business, so let's go back there.
Not aware of any miscellaneous business.
The date and time of the next meeting, Alderman Mitchell.
I provided an ordinance to the clerk, the date and time of the next meeting of the city council. For Wednesday, May 20th, 2020 at 10.
Madam Chair,
Who's speaking, please?
Madam Chair, this is Alderman Vasquez.
Yes, Alderman Vasquez.
Madam Chair, I move to amend the ordinance before the council by striking out the date currently listed and replacing it with May 6, 2020.
Lay on the
Alderman
table.
Alderman Harris has moved to lay Alderman Vasquez's amendment
Point
on
of
the table.
clarification. Point of clarification.
Is this Alderman Vasquez?
Yes, this is Alderman Vasquez.
Please proceed, sir.
Sure. Yeah. So I was moving to move the schedule up sooner so that this council can move and operate during a crisis to be able to come up with.
Sir, I don't think that's a point of
It
clarification.
is
I
now.
think that's
So
a debate.
for point of clarification, for the point of clarification, is the laying of the table a vote to not allow public debate on that matter?
Yes.
Alderman Harris?
I move to lay it on the table.
So that is what it means. If somebody votes to lay it on the table, they're saying they don't want public debate on having a closer council meeting, correct?
Alderman Vasquez, the motion is to lay it on the table. The motion has the effect of not allowing the amendment at this
That's
time. So the motion is to lay it on the table. All in favor of laying it on the table signify by saying aye.
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 All those
Aye.
opposed, say nay.
Nay. Roll
Motion-
call.
Roll call, please.
Alderman, and I know some of you are new and don't know the rules.
I'm
But
not new. Roll call.
You don't know them either.
and some of you just don't know the rules. Once a motion has been made and we're voting. But out of deference to the body, we will allow for another roll call vote.
Yeah, I would like, thank you. This is not
Mr.
because I'm,
Chair,
Madam President.
Alderman Vasquez, you're out of order. We are doing a roll call vote. This is not a debate.
I
and
request.
ongoing commentary.
Rachel needs to talk to you.
Alderman Chairman, or Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
I am motion for personal privilege. I am being impugned as you're saying I'm new, and that is not why I'm asking for this.
Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Jesus Christ.
Alderman L'espada,
And just to clarify, the motion on the table is laid on the table to disallow the amendment offered by Alderman Vasquez. All those in favor of the motion to lay it on the table, you'll vote yes. All those opposed to the lay it on the table motion by Chairman Harris will vote no. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman L'espada,
No.
Alderman Hopkins,
No.
Alderman Dowell,
Aye.
Alderman King,
No.
Alderman Hairston. Alderman Hairston,
I don't even know what the fuck I'm voting on.
No.
Alderman Hairston is no. Alderman Sawyer. Alderman Sawyer.
No.
Where the hell is?
Alderman Mitchell. Alderman Mitchell is aye. Alderman Mitchell.
Aye.
Alderman Harris.
Aye.
Alderman Beal.
No.
Alderman Sedlowski Garza.
Aye.
Alderman Thompson.
Aye.
Alderman Cardenas. Alderman Quinn.
Aye.
Alderman Burke.
No.
Alderman Lopez.
No.
Alderman Coleman.
No.
Alderman Moore. Alderman Moore. Alderman Curtis. Alderman Curtis. Alderman O'Shea.
Aye.
Alderman Taylor.
No.
Alderman Brookins.
Aye.
Alderman Rodriguez.
No.
Alderman Tabarez.
Aye.
Alderman Scott.
Aye.
Alderman Cicho Lopez.
No.
Alderman Maldonado.
No.
Alderman Burnett.
Aye.
Alderman Irvin.
No.
Alderman Telefiero.
Aye.
Alderman Raboyes.
Aye.
Alderman Cardona.
No.
Alderman Wagispack.
Aye.
Alderman Rodriguez Sanchez.
No.
Alderman Austin.
Aye.
Alderman Ramirez Rosa.
No.
Alderman Villegas.
Aye. Alderman Cardenas votes aye.
Please wait until we finish the roll. Alderman Mitz.
Aye.
Alderman Spizzato.
Yes.
Alderman Nugent.
Yes.
Alderman Vasquez.
No.
Alderman Napolitano.
Aye.
Alderman Riley,
Aye.
Alderman Smith. Alderman Smith. Alderman Tunney,
Aye.
Alderman Gardner,
Aye.
Alderman Kappelman,
Aye.
Alderman Martin,
No.
Alderman Osterman,
Aye.
Alderman Haddon,
No.
Alderman Silverstein.
No.
Did you get my vote?
I'm going to go through the order again, Alderman. Alderman Curtis. Alderman David Moore. Alderman Smith.
Alderman Smith.
No.
Alderman Smith, are you no?
No.
Is there anyone else who needs to be recorded? Alderman Cardenas.
I said yes.
Your Honor, there are 26 yeas, 21 nays.
The motion to sustain, to lay it on the table is sustained. Alderman Mitchell, you have an ordinance for the, setting the date and time of the next meeting.
All right, I provided an ordinance to the clerk setting the date and time of the next meeting of the city council for Wednesday, May 20th, 2020 at 10 a.m.
Mr. Clerk, please read the ordinance.
Be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Chicago, Section 1, in accordance with Illinois Executive Order 2020-7, the next regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Chicago shall be conducted by video conference on Wednesday, the 20th day of May, 2020, beginning at 10 o'clock a.m., and shall provide for remote participation and remote viewing by members of the public. Section 2, this ordinance shall take effect and be enforced from and after its passage.
Alderman Mitchell.
I'm sorry, I move passes in the omnibus.
Madam President, that would require a vote from Alderman Lopez.
I'm sorry, Alderman Lopez. Can you please repeat?
Forgive me, Madam President, as a point of order, a vote is required.
I apologize, Alderman Lopez. You have a lot of reverb, and so I'm having a difficult time hearing you. Can you try it one more time?
Yes, I'll try it again. As a point of order, that motion requires a vote, I believe.
What motion?
The ordinance, the motion to approve the ordinance setting the date and time for the next meeting requires an actual vote.
I believe that Alderman Mitchell moved for passage of this in the omnibus, at which time there will be a vote.
I think
So,
generally
hearing
we've
no
done this by
hearing no objection to putting this in the omnibus, so ordered.
object.
Madam President,
There's been plenty of objection to this, Madam President, which is why I mentioned that.
Well, no, Alderman Lopez, you offered a order, which is the same as an objection.
Madam President, as a point of order, being admonished earlier this week for profanity, I would ask that you do the same to whoever just called this quite a something show, so that in fairness, we are all being treated equally as how we're being addressed as aldermen. Because if you didn't hear it, the world just heard what one of our colleagues called this meeting right now. And it wasn't a crap show. And I would expect nothing less, having been berated for saying something highly less earlier in the week.
Are you finished, Alderman?
Waiting for you, Madam President.
I believe someone called for a roll call vote on the ordinance for setting the date and time of the next meeting. Who was that? And please identify yourself for the record.
Alderman Vasquez called for a roll call.
Mr. Clerk, please call a roll call vote on setting the date and time.
Madam President, Alderman Ramirez Rosa.
Sir,
May
I would appreciate, let me finish before you
No, roll
interrupt,
call.
because it's very difficult on a virtual city council meeting. Then I will call on you and you can talk to your heart's delight. All right, let me finish. There was a request by Alderman Lopez for a roll call vote. Alderman Rosa, do you wish to be heard on Alderman Lopez's
Yes.
request for a roll call?
Yes,
vote?
thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor. We are in the midst of a crisis, so I'm going to be speaking on this measure to set the next date of our meeting. This measure to set the next date for our meeting will set the meeting for the end of May, for May 20th. We just saw a very close vote to attempt to set the meeting to an earlier date at May 6th. And I was very disappointed to see that 26 of my colleagues voted to stop this measure from moving forward. There are so many families that are suffering in this moment, that need relief on housing, that need relief from paid sick leave. We need to meet sooner as a council. We need to do our job. So I certainly hope that we defeat this motion right now to set the meeting to May 20th, 2020, so that we can bring forward a new measure to meet and do the job of the people who are dying and suffering in this moment. Please vote no.
Madam President, I wish to speak. This is Alderman Vasquez.
Chair recognizes Alderman Austin.
Madam President, I reluctantly agree with Alderman Lopez in regards to one of our colleagues using profanity on our council. I think that we've gotten out of hand of respect for one another and for respect of the presidency. I'm asking all of our colleagues, let's keep this decent and in order. Thank you, Madam President.
Madam President, I've had my. Thank
Chair
you.
recognizes Alderman Spizzato.
Thank you, Madam President. I concur with my colleague, Alderman Austin. This is just out of control. This has to stop, okay? We're all trying to do our best. We're well aware of the fact that we're in tough times right now, but please, please stop the nonsense. That's all I ask. Thank you very much, Madam President.
The chair recognizes Alderman Vasquez.
Thank you, Madam President. I do apologize if anything is viewed as nonsense or as an insult. That is not my intent at all. All I intended to do was to move our meeting up sooner because the people of Chicago want us to find solutions. And in the municipal code, it states we're supposed to have meetings every 2 weeks. So if we're able to do that when it's not a crisis, to ask to be able to do a meeting earlier during a crisis is not outlandish. It is doing exactly the same thing the executive branch is doing, asking to be nimble and fast in a moment of crisis to find solutions for our city. That is the only reason I'm asking. So I'm asking for a roll call because I'd like to know which members of this council don't think we should move meetings up sooner so we can solve problems for our city.
Chair recognizes Alderman Riley.
Sorry, Madam President, I didn't mean to have my hand up.
Is this a punk you show? Is this a punk you show? He's killing me, man.
So there's a motion for a roll call. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll call vote on Alderman Mitchell's motion for an ordinance.
I do.
Set the next time of the city council meeting as May 20th at 10 a.m. A yes vote is setting the time for May 20th, 10 a.m. A no vote is opposing that. Mr. Clerk?
Alderman Laspada.
No.
Alderman Hopkins. Alderman Hopkins.
Yes.
Alderman Dowell.
Yes.
Alderman King. Alderman King. Alderman Harrison.
Yes.
Alderman Sawyer.
Yes.
Alderman Mitchell.
Aye.
Alderman Harris.
Aye.
Alderman Beal.
Yep.
Alderman Sedlowski Garza. Alderman Sedlowski Garza.
Yes.
Alderman Thompson.
Yes.
Alderman Cardenas.
Yes.
Alderman Quinn.
Yes.
Alderman Burke.
No.
I'm sorry, Alderman Burke.
No.
Alderman Lopez.
No.
Alderman Coleman.
Yes.
Alderman Moore.
Yes.
Alderman Curtis. Alderman Curtis. Alderman O'Shea.
Aye.
Alderman Taylor.
No.
Alderman Brookins.
Aye.
Alderman Rodriguez.
Aye.
Alderman Tabarez.
Aye.
Alderman Scott.
Aye.
Alderman Cicho Lopez.
No.
Alderman Maldonado.
Aye.
Alderman Burnett. Alderman-
Yes, yes.
Alderman Irvin. Alderman Irvin. Alderman Telefiero.
Aye.
Alderman Raboyes.
Yes.
Alderman Cardona.
Yes.
Alderman Wagispack.
Yes.
Alderman Rodriguez Sanchez.
No.
Alderman Austin.
Aye.
Alderman Ramirez Rosa.
No.
Alderman Villegas.
Aye.
Alderman Mitz.
Aye.
Alderman Spizzato.
Yes.
Alderman Nugent.
Yes.
Alderman Vasquez.
No.
Alderman Napolitano.
Aye.
Alderman Riley.
Yes.
Alderman Smith.
Yes.
Alderman Tunney.
Aye.
Alderman Tunney.
Yes.
Alderman Gardner.
Aye.
Alderman Kappelman.
Yes.
Alderman Martin.
No.
Alderman Osterman.
Aye.
Alderman Haddon.
No.
Alderman Silverstein.
No.
Alderman King.
No.
Alderman Irvin.
No.
Alderman Curtis.
Did they say my name?
36-13. Your Honor, there are 36 yeas and 13 nays.
The motion passes. The next city council meeting will be May 20th at 10 a.m. Alderman Mitchell, motion for adjournment.
There being no further business.
Madam President,
Pardon me.
Reconsider.
Roll call on the remaining items of the omnibus. Will the aldermen please make sure their microphones are unmuted? Mr. Clerk, will you please call a roll call on the omnibus?
Alderman Laspada.
Aye.
Alderman Hopkins.
Yes.
Alderman Dowell.
Aye.
Alderman King.
Yes.
Alderman Hairston.
Yes.
Alderman Sawyer.
Aye.
Alderman Mitchell.
Aye.
Alderman Harris.
Aye.
Alderman Beal.
Yep.
Alderman Sadlowski Garza.
Aye.
Alderman Thompson.
Aye.
Alderman Cardenas.
Aye.
Alderman Quinn.
Aye.
Alderman Burke. Alderman Burke. Alderman Lopez.
I to order some more because I put those on those
Alderman Lopez.
masks.
Alderman Lopez votes aye. Thank you.
Alderman Coleman.
Aye.
Alderman Moore. Alderman Curtis. Alderman Curtis. Alderman O'Shea.
Aye.
Alderman Taylor.
Aye.
Alderman Brookins.
Aye.
Alderman Rodriguez.
Aye.
Alderman Tabarez.
Aye.
Alderman Scott.
Aye.
Alderman Cicho Lopez.
Aye.
Alderman Maldonado.
Aye.
Alderman Burnett.
Aye.
Alderman Urban.
Aye.
Alderman Telefiero.
Aye.
Alderman Raboyes.
Aye.
Alderman Cardona.
Aye.
Alderman Wagispack.
Aye.
Alderman Rodriguez Sanchez.
Aye.
Alderman Austin.
Aye.
Alderman Ramirez Rosa.
Aye.
Alderman Villegas.
Aye.
Alderman Mitz.
Aye.
Alderman Spizzato.
Yes.
Alderman Nugent.
Yes.
Alderman Vasquez.
Yes.
Alderman Napolitano.
Aye.
Alderman Riley.
Aye.
Alderman Smith. Alderman Smith.
Aye.
Alderman Tunney.
Aye.
Alderman Gardner.
Aye.
Alderman Kappelman.
Aye.
Alderman Martin.
Aye.
Alderman Osterman.
Aye.
Alderman Haddon.
Aye.
Alderman Silverstein.
Aye.
Alderman Burke.
Aye.
Alderman Curtis. Alderman Curtis. Your Honor, there are 49 yeas, no nays.
The matters on the omnibus are therefore passed. Alderman Thompson on the motion for reconsideration of the omnibus.
Madam President, can we please motion to reconsider this last vote?
All those in favor of the motion for
I hope it's the
reconsideration
last vote.
signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay.
No, absolutely not.
No, no, no.
Oh.
Heck no.
The motion for reconsideration fails.
Roll call.
Alderman Mitchell on a motion to adjourn.
Madam President,
No further business before the body. I move that we adjourn.
Madam President, two people have their hand up.
There's no debate on an adjournment.
Alderman Lopez, the chair recognizes Alderman Lopez.
thank you, Madam President. I know we are all eager to end this meeting, but I do have a point of order with regards to the previous point that I raised about the admonishment of the language, as well as the second comment that came in during this vote, which is whether or not we were all being punked or this was a bunk show. I'd like to know if we will be admonishing those members as well for their comments that impugn this body now.
Well, Alderman Lopez, unlike your comment from the other day, I did not hear those, but I'll go back to what Chairman Austin said and Alderman Spizzato. Our town and our city is watching. There are children that are watching. I would expect the members of this body to conduct themselves in an appropriate professional manner. While we may not all agree on every issue, and that's the heart of democracy, is robust debate, we can do so without impugning the integrity of individuals, without impugning the integrity of the process, and without impugning the integrity of the body. But the residents of this city, and importantly, the voters of your ward, are watching. And I would just ask members
As
of the
are the
city
voters
council
of your city. Thank
to
you.
conduct themselves. Sorry, sir. If you,
Should be.
Alderman Lopez, please, I'd ask you not to interrupt. You want courtesy, you need to give courtesy.
I asked for a point of privilege because my reputation and character has been impugned, and you said you did not.
And we've moved on that, and we're moving on.
Now you have done it live and in person.
Out of order. Alderman Mitchell on the motion to adjourn.
Once again, there being no further business before this body, I move that we adjourn.
Aye.
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 Unmute your phone. All those in favor of the motion to adjourn signify by saying aye.
Aye. Yes.
All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. The motion is carried. Council is adjourned. Thank you.
Aye.